that? The crowd? They're chanting his name. Shane. But this isn't a Shane video. It's like a mantra I have to say to myself in every video. It's not about Shane. I love Shane. I love Shane. Always got this to hand. I would wake up thinking about Sebastian. I would go to sleep thinking about Shane, but that's normal. I made a comparison to Shane because, of course I did, that's my man. I can't look at it. I feel like I'm blushing. Okay, now I get to talk about Shane. Like, Shane gives you a beer in his Two Heart scene. He doesn't give you a wine if you're a girl, because he's a king. We'll get there. He's alphabetically last. We'll get there. Okay. This video is sponsored by MD Hair. So a few weeks ago I received my treatment kit from MD Hair, which includes a customised shampoo and conditioner, a customised serum, and some supplements. And I have been using them as instructed, testing it out. So I have great hair. I'm not going to be humble, I'm not going to lie, I have great hair. It's probably my best asset, but it is not without its issues. I've got crazy scalp problems. Trigger warning, I'm about to show you. It gets dry as hell, and it's been doing that for like 15 years. But thankfully, MD Hair provides a fully customised treatment based on an online quiz and a scalp analysis. So you fill out the quiz and you take a scalp photo, and the AI technology analyses it to assess your needs and provides a personalised, custom formulated treatment kit. Like with me, I don't have an issue with hair loss particularly, so my treatment focuses mostly on scalp care and making my hair nice and shiny. Which is great because the last thing that I need is more hair. The treatment kit includes everything you need in a single shipment. A shampoo and conditioner to cleanse and stimulate your scalp for healthy hair regrowth. A serum to target the root cause of hair loss and support your scalp. And wellness supplements with over 20 active plant complexes to support your hair from the inside out. All custom formulated based on your quiz results and scalp analysis. I've only been using it for about 3 weeks now, but my scalp is flaking a lot less. And my hair definitely feels healthier. It's so shiny and it's definitely less frizzy. MD Hair is offering a huge 70% off your first monthly kit with full-size products. If you use my link, which you can find below, and my promo code, FionaS70. Thank you to MD Hair for sponsoring this video. Shane time. Hello and welcome back to my self-titled YouTube channel. I am the eponymous Fiona. We may have met before, we may not have met before. Maybe you're a casual viewer, maybe I play in the background while you do something else and I don't always have all of your attention. And that's fine. I love that. Tune me out. I do it as well. But before we start this video, I need to catch everyone up on some things. We need to be on the same page here. In the game Stardew Valley, which is primarily about farming, there are 12 NPCs that are romanceable, that you can date, that you can marry. Over the last year of my life, I have been going through these 12 characters one by one and making truly excruciating deep dives. How can someone talk for 4 hours about Sebastian from Stardew Valley? I don't know, but I found a way. This video is 12 of 12. The last character. My favourite character. Truly, I would not be here doing all of this if not for Shane. I didn't know what the word blorbo meant until this man got his hooks in me and planted his worms in my brain. I genuinely will not shut up about him. I had to make a separate channel in my Discord server for talking about Shane so I would stop clogging up all the other channels, and now all it means is that I have one more channel in which to talk about Shane. I have managed to reference him in every single one of my other videos, even one that was about Doctor Who. I got him in there. My love for him is so intense and so pronounced and so inextricably linked with my personality now that there is fanfiction about me and Shane. Not me as a farmer, me as a YouTuber. And it's fanfiction that I asked for. To be fair, I asked for it mostly as a joke, but with a secret hope that they would actually write it, and they did. And it's actually really good. You can find it on my Discord. When I'm filming videos and I start talking about Shane, I start smiling. I start smiling before I've even brought him up, because I know that it's coming. When I'm editing, I get excited when I know I'm about to edit a part that has Shane content in it. Sometimes I just kill time rewatching parts of my own videos where I talk about Shane. No good reason for it. You know, it's not like with a critical lens. I guess I just love thinking about him. He just like itches my brain, you know. Do you understand what I'm trying to communicate to you here? I'm obsessed with him. And that's not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. I'm obsessed with him. Since my very first video, I have almost exclusively used this picture of him. At first I did it because I thought it was funny. It was just meant to be like a little inside joke between me and myself, because I didn't think anyone was going to watch my fucking YouTube videos. Then I kept doing it because I still thought it was funny, and other people noticed it and also thought it was funny. But also because if I look at any of the other pictures, I get weird. I get nervous. I get flustered. Okay. You don't know the struggle I went through putting all these pictures up. It was very overwhelming for me. This is not like me. I worked for 4 years in the games industry writing dating sims. And so I played a decent amount of dating sims for like research. And I felt nothing. When there's a romance option in a game, I feel nothing. I am dead inside. They're just pixels, and I know that. Like, I've seen behind the curtain. But this guy, I can't even look at his picture, and that's weird, okay? That's weird. I'm a 27-year-old married woman, and looking at this 128 by 128 pixel portrait makes me kick my goddamn feet so hard my shoes fly off. So you would think, given this, that I have read a lot of fan fiction about him. And I have, to be fair. I have. But not as much as you would think, mostly one-shots. I get a lot of requests for Shane fic recs. And like, yeah, that makes sense. You'd think I'd be the authority on that, right? The self-appointed #1 Shane fan. I understand why you'd think that, but the thing is, I get so weirdly protective over my interpretation of him. It's so specific and so personal that I don't read long fics written by other people, because what if they get him wrong? I've been burned by that before, and I'll talk about that later, but I feel like no one gets him like I get him, you know? And that's not to say that different interpretations aren't valid. It's not that other people get him wrong, even though I just said that. It's that we disagree in these tiny, imperceptible ways that make a difference to me, because I'm insane. So what I mostly do is write. I have not written fan fiction since I was 19, but this fucker got me backsliding, you know. I made a Tumblr as well. I've mentioned a few times on this channel that I've written a roughly 100,000 word fan fiction about Shane from Stardew Valley. And this is untrue. What I actually did was write one 71,502 word fanfiction, and then a 48,031 word sequel, for a total of 119,533 words. That is roughly the same number of words as Pride and Prejudice, or more importantly, Twilight. Furthermore, since the last time I've mentioned this fanfiction, which I think was like May, I have written another fanfiction that ended up being around 50,000 words, and I'm now writing a sequel to that one, which at the time of recording is almost 150,000 words. I also started and then kind of abandoned a Sam and Shane fanfiction, which was around 14,000 words, and I wrote a 5,000 word one-shot like 2 weeks ago. So if we add up all these words, that is roughly 340,842 words. To put that into perspective of you, that is the length of the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers. It's about 3/4 of Stephen King's It. It's about the same length as the entire Chronicles of Narnia series. The first draft of this script had that total number at 280,000 words. And between January and now, I had to edit it because I wrote... How many more words even is that now? I have to figure it out. And between January and now, I had to edit it because I wrote 50,000 more words. And that was during a time that I labelled a writer's block. At this point, you probably get the message, right? Oh, she loves Shane from Stardew Valley a weird amount that hints at underlying mental health issues. I mean, I don't know what you mean by underlying. I think they're pretty overlying, but okay. But there's more. I know it's overkill. I know you get what I mean, but there is more. Look at this save file I have that I made pretty much just to give him his best life. Blue chickens all the way down. Look at the shrine I have in my current save file. Look at how big my folder of screen recordings is for the other romanceables. And then look at how big the folder is for Shane. And recently, yeah, I made a Tumblr just exclusively to reblog pictures of Shane. so that I could keep them all in one place. I've been asking if there is a Shane equivalent in games before I play them. If there is a conversation about him, I am tuned in. He is my Discord profile picture. He is my Blue Sky banner. Right now, he is literally 100% of my creative output. This video and my fanfiction. My husband... This one's hard to admit, okay? My husband loves beer. Shane loves beer. When my in real life husband, who I am in real life married to, drinks beer, do you know what I think in my brain? That's so Shane coded. You would think Shane would remind me of my husband, but no, my husband reminds me of Shane. I'm sorry, Sam. He's not threatened by our relationship, though. He's very secure. He understands that it's a coping mechanism, you know. Could be worse. Could be worse. So, we're rounding off here. We're winding down. We're almost done with the preamble. As I mentioned, I have been going through the 12 romanceables in alphabetical order. When I had the idea to do this, like over a year ago, I wrote them all out in alphabetical order and I thought, oh no, I can't do that. That would mean Shane would be last. But then I thought, oh, Shane would be last. I have ADHD. I quit so many things. I leave so many things unfinished. I've quit more things than you've started. For once in my life, I thought, let me use delayed gratification. If I put the Shane video last, that means that in order to make it, I have to make an Elliot video, a Penny video, a Sebastian video, 11 entire other videos. And then I get my reward. I get to talk about Shane as long as I want, and you have to sit there and listen. I mean, you don't have to, but like, please do. And it worked. Here I am. I've made all those other videos, plus some extra ones. Like I said, I have talked about him in pretty much every video because I can't physically stop myself, but I've held off for an entire year. 17 other videos building to this. But Fiona, you say, it says part 1. It's a very long video, which I assume it will be, but it's part 1. How many parts will there be? How much Shane content are we to be subject to? How long will I hold you hostage as I vomit information about my blawbo onto you? Great question. Instead of making one video that literally may have been like 15 hours, I'm going to break it up into 4 parts. 4 manageable, bite-sized, hours-long parts. Part 1, lore, info dumping. Literally just every piece of information that there is about him, including information from version 1.6, as well as interpretation, analysis, headcanons, and theories. Part 2, backstory. This was originally going to be part of part 1, but I have to get this video out by the end of March or I will go bankrupt, okay? So be cool. So part 2 will be a ridiculously deep dive into his backstory. Everything we know for sure, everything we can speculate wildly about. You might not think that there's enough there for a whole video, but I am 15,000 words in, and I have barely scratched the surface. Part 3, friendship. We cover the 2 to 8 heart events, and notably that's where we'll do our discussions of his issues with alcoholism and depression. We're mostly going to leave that out of the first 2 videos. Part 4, romance. We date him. We marry him. Oh, excuse me, actually, I date him. I marry him. You can watch. We'll talk about the 10 heart scene, the 14 heart scene, his married dialogue, the summit, and anything else I haven't managed to cover. Then maybe I will try and combine those videos and post it as one big one if Final Cut Pro doesn't crash when I try to do that. So I hope you're on board with this journey we're going to go on over the next few months as I release these parts. If you're a new viewer, I promise you I'm not always like this. I'm more laid back. I'm very chill. I'm casual. I'm unbiased. And we will be chill, we'll be casual, we'll have a good time. I'm drinking beer basically through this entire video. I've got some really good jokes planned, and I'm sure others will just like find their way out of me, you know? But now you understand how I care so much about this. When I was putting these pictures on the wall, I went and got a spirit level to make sure they were straight. I've never done that before. That's how much I care. There's going to be more than a few autobiographical kind of personal elements thrown in because I just physically cannot extract this character from how much I love him. I can't. I'm so biased. Feel free to disagree with literally anything I say. He's not real. As much as it hurts, I do know that he's not real. So this is 100% my interpretation. I'm going to try and stick to that, you know, acknowledge my bias, But I also feel so strongly about some things that I will argue until I explode. So like, cut me some slack, you know? In theory, you can disagree with me. In practice, I tend to make it seem like you're not allowed, you know? One last thing before we get started. If you are a Shane hater, that's fine. I know they exist. A bunch of them did my Shane questionnaire. Thank you for your valuable data. You are valid. I've made my peace with you. Look. Shane hater, me and you, we disagree. We're different people. We probably have different life experience, so we see him differently. And that's okay. Hand on my heart, this is not me trying to convince you or anyone else to like him. It makes no difference to me. The girls that get it, and the ones who don't are entitled to their opinion. All I'm trying to do with this video is explain myself. Explain it to myself. You heard all the shit I just said about how feral he makes me. It needs unpacking. It begs to be unpacked. I must unpack it. I have to understand. In the Sebastian video, I sought to answer the question, why is everyone so obsessed with this emo motherfucker? Over the course of these 4 Shane videos, I seek to answer the question, why am I so obsessed with this fictional, pixelated, mean, alcoholic, undeniably sexy, short king? Let's do it. So first, let's talk about the development a little. Let's establish a timeline. In my Emily video, I talked about how she wasn't originally romanceable in the 1.0 version of the game, aka the game as it was when it was first released. And this is the same with Shane as well, my baby girl, the love of my life, just walking around Pelican town, unable to be romanced, unable to be wooed. He's unwooable. So our timeline, here we go. 26th of February, 2016. Version 1.0 releases, aka Stardew Valley comes out. Congrats! So proud of you, so brave. 5th of April 2016. Concerned Ape, who is the developer of the game, puts out these Twitter polls asking who should be made romanceable. The winners here were Emily, and of course, king of my heart, the one, the only, Shane. 3rd of October 2016. Version 1.1 releases, with Emily and Shane now available to be romanced. This included new heart events for both of them, and the ability to marry them. Now, of course, I'm not going to go too deep into this. Just because he was originally non-romanceable doesn't mean we need to linger on that. It's not like I'm going to download an old version of the game through a super long and complicated process and record every heart event from that version just to see what's different and what's the same. It's not like I'm going to learn how to crack open the game files so that I can extract his dialogue from that version and compare it with other versions. I'm not crazy. I'm not obsessed with him, you guys. Do you see where I'm going with this? I did do that. I did do that. Of course I did that. I am obsessed with him. The version that I downloaded was version 1.07, which released on the 4th of April 2016. And according to the version history, this was the last release before version 1.1. So there wasn't like a 1.08. I could have downloaded version 1.0, like the OG, but I heard it was really buggy, and apparently there used to be a lost Shane heart event. And the heart events are the whole reason that I did this thing in the first place. So I went with the latest possible non-romanceable version. And this playthrough hurt. Nice. Can't ask him to dance with me. Crime. My man put me in the friend zone. I could not dance with him at the flower dance. Where am I? I'm here. Oh, they put me next to Clint. That's so sad. The game made me stand there at the flower dance next to Clint. And watched all the romanceables do their thing while the love of my life stood there opposite, hardwired to feel nothing towards me. Unwooable. I was there every morning outside his house on his way to work, bringing him beer, talking to him. Even when he told me to leave him alone. Even when every time it rained, he just told me he was thirsty. I was there. Of all the girls tossing rocks at your window, I'll be the one waiting there, even when it's cold. But he just sees me as a friend, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So let's talk about him, right? Let's talk about original Shane. No, not that one. Let's call him 1.0 Shane so we don't get confused, okay? Original Shane, 1.0 Shane. Original Shane, 1.0 Shane. Okay. So what do you do when there are 3 versions of a beloved character that you would like to compare and contrast? And also you're neurodivergent and you respond well to bright colours. Well, you make a spreadsheet, of course. Cheers. I think he's got to me. I think I like beer now. Oh, that's good. Here we have 3 versions of his dialogue that I extracted from the game files. 1.07 Shane, 1.5 Shane, 1.6 Shane. Categorised by how many hearts they require, the festivals, the marriage dialogue, Ginger Island, gift dialogue, other, and the cinema. Sidebar, this is the first time I ever saw his divorce dialogue because I have never and I will never leave him. And I don't want to talk about it. I'm deleting it from my brain. I don't need to know. I don't need to know. It's not relevant to me. I don't want to talk about it, okay? And we have a little tick box to the side to show me whether the dialogue was changed at any point or whether it was added in a later version. I've greyed out the areas where dialogue wasn't possible. For example, the Desert Festival was added in version 1.6, so I've greyed it out for 1.07 and 1.5, and I didn't count it as having changed because it wasn't possible before. But where there's new dialogue for existing festivals, I counted that. So I did this because I wanted to chart his development. In my mind, 1.0 Shane is like pure distilled Shane. Essence of Shane. Like it's tight, right? This is what I assumed. That in his original non-romanceable version, he would have fewer lines, so those lines would carry more weight. That when he became romanceable, he would suddenly have all of these other lines and get cracked open and become somewhat watered down. There's one little patch of sunlight. It's throwing me off. Oh, this is what I assumed. Was I correct? No. Of course not. When has life ever been so simple? If we consult my spreadsheet, you can see that between version 1.07 and version 1.5, he basically had almost the exact same dialogue. The obvious exceptions are things like the engagement dialogue, because he couldn't be married before, and then of course his marriage dialogue and the new heart events. But outside of that, and outside of dialogue that came with updates, for example, his Ginger Island dialogue, it's essentially the exact same. There's one line I can find that was added between version 1.07 and version 1.5, and it's at 8 hearts. You like talking to me? I guess I believe you. Maybe you're as weird as I am. But yeah, the rest of it is just the same, which is so interesting. So my theory about the 1.0 version of Shane being like the purest version of Shane is like kind of true, but he stays pure. Fascinating. To be honest, I get it. I like it. You don't want to add a bunch of extraneous dialogue just because. And that's definitely not foreshadowing. No, sir, I don't even know what that word means. 5 shadowing. So anyway, we have spent all this time talking around Shane. Let's talk about Shane. Let me introduce you to the love of my life. Or one of them. One of 2. I love you, Sam. I'm sorry. There's gonna be a lot of Sam erasure in this video. This is Shane. His birthday is the 20th of spring. He lives at Marnie's Ranch in Cindersap Forest with his Aunt Marnie of Marnie's Ranch and his goddaughter, very important, goddaughter, Jazz. He works at the supermarket in town, which is called Jojo Mart. As of version 1.07, his schedule every single day was to go to work and come home. No breaks, no days off, no weekends. Literally every day, our man would wake up, leave the house around 7:10 in the morning, go to work, leave work at 5, go to the saloon, stand in the corner by the fireplace, drink alone, and then at around 11, he would go home and go to bed. Every single day. Every single day, except festivals. Now you look at his schedule, and my man at least gets weekends off. He has some variety. He gets to go to the beach every now and then. But yeah, originally, nothing. While he's at work, his little outfit looks like this. And I think it's objectively kind of hilarious because he looks like a train conductor or something. I don't know. And if you go into the social menu when he's at work, you'll see him in his little Jojo outfit, which I think is a cute little detail. So what can we pick up about him so far? He spends hours every day at work, then hours every day at the bar, drinking alone. Me drinking alone, sitting on my bedroom floor. Then he goes to sleep. So our boy Shane, he's not happy, right? Just from this, we can tell he is not happy. And he has, maybe some issues with alcohol. And we would be correct. I'm now going to read you the objectively hilarious first sentence that the Stardew Valley wiki has on his page. Shane is a villager in Pelican Town who is often rude and unhappy, is a heavy drinker, and suffers from depression. Like, damn, tell me how you really feel. Stardew Valley wiki. It's true, though. There are a few defining things about this man when you first meet him. Number 1, he works at Joja. Number 2, he spends a huge amount of time drinking. Number 3, he is mean to you. Oh yeah. Oh boy. He is mean to you. So his Zero Hearts dialogue, the dialogue he has when you first meet him and you're strangers, is iconic. Iconic. Picture this. Fun fact, I have that thing where you can't picture things in your head. So picture it for me, okay? You're a young professional, just moved out of the big city to your grandpa's old farm. Spring is blooming, the air is fresh, the produce is colourful and delicious. The vast majority of people in the town are overwhelmingly friendly. Things are going okay. Life is good. Mayor Lewis tells you to introduce yourself to everybody in town. And so you do. You make your way around, saying hi to all the villagers, and then you see this guy. You realise you haven't spoken to him yet. You go to introduce yourself, and he says, upon your first meeting, I don't know you. Why are you talking to me? Okay, that's pretty rude, but I'm sure it's just because you're a stranger, right? Like next time you talk to him, he'll, what do you want? Go away. Okay, so you're not strangers anymore, but he still doesn't want to talk to you. That's fine. Maybe if you're persistent, what do you want? Leave me alone. Hey, Shane, was it? Yeah, man, I don't know if I'm offending you or something. No, I don't have time to chat with you. Oh, okay, maybe some other time then. I really feel like we got off on the wrong foot. Why are you bothering me? I want to be alone. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm bothering you, but don't you have work to do? I mean, yeah, I do, but I'm busy. Can't you tell? All right. Okay. I get it. Okay. So as a player, when met with this, there are a few different ways one may react. As I was making this video, I put out a Shane questionnaire, which a truly staggering amount of people responded to. At time of writing, it was over 2,000 people, which is nuts. So thank you to everyone who took the time to do that. And one of the questions was, what was your first impression of him when he was mean to you? And we got some interesting responses. Okay. One that particularly hurt me was that they put, oh, it's Sebastian for country girls. I can look out my window right now and see a significant amount of farmland, so they're not wrong. They're not wrong, but it hurts. There was a significant amount of fuck you. A lot of people called him a dickhead. A lot of people called him an asshole. So yeah, that's a response you can have. A lot of people will go, fuck this guy, what a dickhead, and they'll go after someone else. Entirely justified. A lot of people will just think that he's funny, or they're not really bothered by him, they're neutral. Some people will chase his friendship, keep bothering him out of spite. Some people, these people I will refer to as Shane girlies, but it is gender neutral, just so you know. Some people will say, fuck this guy, but we mean it in a different way. Some people will see this piece of shit being so mean to you and will go, that one's for me. One, please. I don't remember who it was. This was months ago, but someone once commented on one of my videos something like, I don't go for Shane because he's so rude to you. I have self-respect. And well put. I don't. I mean, that's an oversimplification, right? Maybe in real life, that concept would apply. Because in real life, if someone is mean to me, I'm crying. I'm crying immediately. The last thing I would feel in the entire world was horny. Personally, I wouldn't try to seek their approval. It wouldn't make me want them more, or whatever pickup artists teach, you neg a woman and she wants to suck your dick. No, I would just be like, what a dickhead. And I would never talk to that person again. If you're in a relationship with someone who is consistently rude or mean to you, Get out of that relationship. Bad, no. But this is not real. This is Stardew Valley. This is a game. He doesn't mean it personally. He says this exact same shit to millions of players. Me playing this game, I am completely safe. I'm at home. I can choose to keep bothering him or to leave him alone. It's entirely on my own terms. Which brings us to our first theory. Hello and welcome to Theories, Fiona. Are you well? No? No, me neither. This is a through line that is going to persist through the videos. Multiple mini tangents where I will be presenting theories as to why I love Shane so much, as and when they come up. I'm not going to say how many there are in total because I keep adding more. Remember, we are ultimately trying to answer the question of why am I obsessed with him? Why do I think about him every single day of my life, including my wedding day? Oh, I'm tired today. And here we have theory number 1. The fantasy of a mean man. Like I said, someone treats you like this in real life, that's someone to avoid. Sure, you could try to get close to them, open them up, but in reality, if someone is talking like that, they're probably like a fucking incel or something. If they're being openly hostile to you, telling you to leave them alone, you should probably leave them alone. Engaging with them further would go against their wishes, and it could also be pretty dangerous. Someone like that could lash out at you. You don't know that what you find under that shell is going to be someone, sweet and gooey. Could be mean all the way down. Especially in the case of someone like Shane, who is A, a man, and B, a heavy drinker. In typical life, I am running. I'm sprinting away from this guy. My brain is just going, danger, danger. But this is Stardew Valley. Even on my first playthrough in 2018, when I saw this mean motherfucker and I thought, that one's for me, I felt safe. Within this game, things can only get so dark. They're going to get pretty dark, don't get me wrong. But the game has an ESRB rating of 10+. You're not going to see anything fucked up. And even if you did, it's not real. There's a screen between you. I realised at some point when I was writing my Shane fan fiction that I love writing arguments. I love writing him being mean. I love writing these high stakes situations where he's just yelling or crying or both. I love to torture my blowbo. When I have arguments in real life, I cry. I hate it. I would rather be doing anything else. So fanfiction is this safe way to engage in this area without actually engaging in it. Engaging through fiction at a distance. It's the same principle as queer people testing out their sexuality through dating sims, or when I used to make my 2 girl Bratz dolls kiss. It's a safe place for experimentation with none of the risk. Shane is mean to me, and I love it because there are no stakes. I get to experience this hostility without any of the risk or the danger. He's mean to me, but he's not being mean to me. So my ego remains unbruised. And it's a whole different flavour of character. Sure, some other people can be assholes. Sebastian is a bit snarky with his first meeting dialogue. Abby tells you she's in a bad mood. Clint literally has the same line of dialogue as Shane, where he says, "Don't you have work to do?" And it's like, you can't pull that off, babes. You don't have the same air of mystique around you. But here, it just kind of hits different, Because he's not trying to impress you. He's not trying to come across as cool like Sebastian. He's not just in a bad mood like Abby or Clint. It's self-assured in a messed up kind of way. He knows what he wants. And that's hot. So, quick headcanon. Do you get it? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm going to try and delineate my headcanons so that you don't take them as fact. Quick headcanon. This game does not have swearing in it. Off the top of my head, I don't think anyone even says the word damn. So none of the characters swear. But if they did, I think Shane would be telling you to fuck off. right? Doesn't it fit? The hostility, trying to get you away from him as fast and effectively as possible. What? What do you want? Fuck off. This is a headcanon I firmly believe, and I incorporate it into my fanfictions on the regular. This man is dropping F-bombs left and right. So, these 7 lines of dialogue. 7 mean things he can say to you on 7 different days. These existed back in 1.07 when he was unromanceable, and they remain unchanged all the way up until version 1.5. Even in version 1.6 they still exist, but now his Sunday dialogue has an alternative line. I'm busy, can't you tell? I don't feel like talking to anyone. So those 2 little lines here just mean that like randomly you'll get one piece of dialogue or the other. It basically means or. It's like a lucky dip, which one you'll get. So basically, first impression of him. He has this impenetrable shell around him, this hostile, defensive attitude, pushing you away, rejecting you. Not like Sebastian, who will sometimes rebuff you and sometimes will tell you deep personal feelings like how we're all skipping stones that are going to sink. No, he's categorical. Go away. Go away. In theory, I understand the thought process behind not making a character like this romanceable. Concerned8 was probably out there in 2016 thinking, oh, but he's so aggressive. He's so hostile. He's so gruff. No one's going to want to romance that guy. Honey, you got a big storm coming. Especially once you see the other part of his Zero Hearts dialogue. His festival dialogue. Hello and welcome to the first overblown set piece of the video. I bought a whiteboard for this purpose. I bought a shirt with Shane on it. Well, I designed a shirt with Shane on it. On the back we've got his iconic mean dialogue lines. Full disclosure, I am mildly hungover, but I think that adds to the authenticity because of Shane. This is me right now. Charlie's doing well. Okay, let's chat festivals. So festivals in Stardew Valley are like these little events. For most of them, the whole town shuts down and every NPC goes to the specific area of the map where the festival is happening. Here is how the Stardew Valley wiki puts it. Festivals are special events in Stardew Valley. Mayor Lewis will send the player a letter in advance of each festival, describing when and where it will take place. On the day of the festival, a pop-up on the left-hand side of the screen will let the player know when the festival has begun. If they choose to attend a festival, other than the night market or desert festival, upon leaving, they will be returned to the farm late at night. Attendance at festivals is entirely optional. Speaking to villagers at festivals will increase friendship points, the same as any other day. Some festivals can have special effects on friendship, such as increasing friendship with every known villager, or increased friendship for gifting. So, originally, there were 8 festivals: the Egg Festival, the Flower Dance, the Luau, Dance of the Moonlight Jellies, Stardew Valley Fair, Spirit's Eve, Festival of Ice, and Feast of the Winter Star. 2 festivals every season. All of the NPCs attend and have unique lines of dialogue, except for the ones you can't reach. For example, sometimes Pierre has like a little shop and you can't reach him to talk to him. And why would you want to? In version 1.3.27 in 2018, the night market was introduced in winter. And in version 1.6 in 2024, the desert festival was introduced in spring. And there are also a few like fishing events that were added in 1.6. All of these newer festivals kind of function differently in that they don't hijack your entire day. You can kind of wander in and out, and not every NPC is there all the time. They're more low-key. But you still get unique lines of dialogue for each character if they're there. So we will cover them after the 8 originals. From version 1.07 all the way up until version 1.5, Shane's festival dialogue stayed pretty much exactly the same, even if you were married to him. All of the other spouses had unique festival dialogue when you're married to them, but not Shane, and not Emily. Maybe Eric forgot about the festival dialogue. Maybe. Even now in 1.6, when every spouse has been given a new festival dialogue line, all this means is that all of the other spouses have 2 dialogue lines now, and Shane and Emily now only have 1. This is unfair. Favoritism. So look, we've covered how this guy's kind of a dickhead. He's antisocial, he's gruff, he's prickly, you know, he's grumpy. Leave me alone. That's my purse, I don't know you. Love it, love the energy. Good girl, give us nothing. And that is true if you approach him in the street, or at the saloon, or at home. But Festival Shane, You approach this man at a festival. Whole different ballgame. Okay. We're going to go chronologically through the 8 original festivals, and you will see what I mean pretty much immediately. So let's look at the first festival of the year, the Egg Festival, on the 13th of spring. Where can we find Shane during this festival? Over by the food. This is going to be a common occurrence for our man at festivals. I would like you to take a shot every time we see him by the food. You talk to this man at the Egg Festival. You talk to this sexy little grump, and he will say, our hens have been working overtime to prepare for this festival. Wait, what's my Shane voice going to be? Our hens have been our hens have been working overtime. I can't do the R's. Our hens have been working overtime. It's just like a voice, you know, pretty standard. Okay. Our hens have been working overtime to prepare for this festival. They deserve the best tonight. Bowls of sweet yellow corn. Who is this? Bro, this is the cutest shit. Is this not the cutest shit you've ever seen? See that? That smile. That damn smile. This man has only been mean to you. You think he's just some dickhead. And he busts out with not only a normal thing to say, but this incredible care towards these chickens. And he talks about giving them a little treat. This man and his relationship to animals is my favourite thing in the world. If I sang, these are a few of my favourite things, every single favourite thing I would say would just be different times that Shane interacts with animals. And all at once, you are the one I have been waiting for. Chicken man heart. Chicken man soul. Whoa. So, pause. Okay. So before we get too deeply into the festival dialogue, I want to talk briefly about the narrative design of it. Oh, we're all so surprised. So on the one hand, I love this juxtaposition. Just the meanest fucker, and then you get him to a festival and you put a chicken in his field of vision and suddenly he's a little sweetheart. From a Zero Hearts perspective, playing this for the first time, you'd be like, whoa, that's not like him. It's impactful. It's characterful. And I'm going to give it that treatment, you know, treat it like it's a deliberate character choice. Like it's canon that if this happened in real life, he would do this. But I can't ignore the narrative design element to it. Because like, there's a reason he acts like this. The festival lines, in version 1.07 at least, are static. The NPCs say the exact same thing every single year. It doesn't depend on your heart level with them. It doesn't depend what heart events you've seen. For the spouses, they say something different if you're married to them. But like I said, that doesn't apply to Shane. So if his festival dialogue said something like, go away, that would be his festival dialogue at 0 hearts and at 8 hearts. So you could be friends and he's still telling you to go away, and that wouldn't make sense. Basically, within the scope, there were 2 options here. Give him hostile dialogue that makes sense up until 4 hearts, but doesn't make sense after that. Or give him friendly dialogue that's kind of incongruous when you have fewer hearts with him, but makes sense when you're friends. And we can see that that second choice was picked. Honestly, I find this kind of thing hard. For a lot of stuff, I will take a crumb of characterization and run with it. We know this. I'm going to talk for a long time about every item in his bedroom. But with this, because the scope is so narrow, my personal opinion, my instinct is just to be like, well, that's not a character trait. That's a necessity. That's not him randomly opening up to you at a festival. That's a limitation. Because if we take the festival dialogue out of the equation, if we just look at how his dialogue changes when you go through the heart events, as we will probably in the next few videos, it's so deliberate, it's so paced, it's a real slow burn. You have to earn the friendly dialogue from him. And I love that. And so the random friendly festival dialogue just feels kind of broken in a way. But then again, it can be both, right? Alex gives up his gridball dream and comes to live with you, and that's both because he physically cannot go and pursue it while being married to you in the game, and also because it's right for his arc. Scope limitations don't just like discount what happens within them. So the way I choose to interpret the festival dialogue is as kind of like a microclimate separate to your relationship with him, because that's how they were written, right? To exist outside the context of your relationship. So they're interesting tiny character studies of just like, what would Shane say in this situation? What would he be thinking about? What's on his mind? This is my opinion. If you think differently, If you think he's just absolutely stoked to be at the festival and he can stomach talking to you while there's a bunch of food or a chicken in front of him, valid. Valid. Don't let me ruin that for you. I'm a fucking YouTuber. Don't let me ruin anything for you. Don't give me that power. So, in that light, we are going to go through all of his festival dialogue. All of it. All of it. So we've already seen this one. Our hens have been working overtime to prepare for this festival. They deserve the best tonight. Bowls of sweet yellow corn. My darling boy. We haven't covered his backstory yet. We're going to get to that at the end of this video. But when he says our hens, he's referring to Marnie, who is his aunt that he lives with. She runs a farm too. When you buy animals in the game, you buy them from her, and you can see them outside her house. So we can pick up from this that he is involved with the care of these animals. Take a mean, grumpy man, add love and care for animals, put it in a syringe, inject it directly into my veins. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. If we consult my spreadsheet, we can see that at some point between 1.07 and 1.5, an alternative line was added for the egg festival. Some of these eggs were laid just this morning. See? They're still warm. So the way that it says year 2, I'm pretty sure means it's like every other year you'll get that line, so they alternate. And I love this piece of dialogue too. Warm little eggs. Lay your eggs in my... Wait. My eggs are warm. It's fine, it's fine. All right, let's move on now. Our next festival is the flower dance on the 24th of spring. The flower dance is seemingly just like a fertility ritual. So all of the romanceable characters do a little dance and you can dance with them. But in version 1.07, he wasn't romanceable, so you can't dance with him. And it broke my heart. You belong with me. You belong with me. Once again, we find our boy over by the food. Take your second shot, please. And he says, excellent sauce. Slurp. Ah, this green stuff is spicy. Munch. Crunch. Ow. And we love this for him. That's my man, eating the free food, the spicy food. No interest in any of the people or what's going on. He's so Shane-coded in this moment, you know, it's giving Shane. Even when he became romanceable in version 1.1, this was still his flower dance dialogue. And we still love this for him. Sure, he has to go dance in a minute, but like, do his priorities change? No, of course not. Quick side note, I love how the characters have so few facial expressions that he makes the same facial expression when he has something a bit too spicy as he does when he tells you he never had much of a family as a kid. Same reaction, you know, same level of emotion it elicits in him. As of 1.6, he now has an alternative line that he says every other year. And this line is, I couldn't find any clean shirts, so this one has to do. What is it about his dirt? Okay. We're going to cover this in a later section when we talk about his clothes and about his general appearance. But he's dirty. He's a dirty, stinky man. So many people in the questionnaire said this about their first impression of him, that he looks stinky or dirty. And look, I agree. I think he looks stinky dirty. Brackets. Positive. No clean shirts. Doesn't care enough about his appearance to like try and borrow one or like hastily Febreze something. He's like, this one will do. And why do I love it? At some point, we are going to try and unpack that for me. But I love it. I love his dirty shirts. I take all of his clean shirts, I hide them. I break his washing machine. Stay stinky, babe. I love you. So as of 1.1, he's a love interest. You can ask him to dance with you at the flower dance. If you have less than 4 hearts with a character, they will reject you. When Shane rejects you, he says, no. Straightforward, to the point. A lot of the other love interests, when they reject you, they try and do it politely or they try and come up with like some excuse. Alex even says, good luck. Shane, no. Simple. No need to elaborate. No is a complete sentence. But if he accepts your flower dance proposal, you get different dialogue. So his acceptance dialogue used to be, you want to be my partner for the flower dance? Okay, I look forward to it. But this, I'm pretty sure, was just generic. I think that all of the love interests would just say that. But as of version 1.6, he has unique acceptance dialogue. Sure, I'd better stop eating. But it's like, you were always going to do the dance anyway. Unless you ask Emily to be your partner for the flower dance, he was always going to be doing the flower dance. So like, he probably should have stopped eating before. I see this personally as he's dancing with Emily out of like obligation. The flower dance in general does seem to be some kind of weird obligation because loads of other people don't really want to be doing it either. When you're married to Sam, he like actively tries to get out of it. But Maya Lewis, I guess, like makes them. But I can see Emily being into it. And since Emily and Shane have a friendship, which we will explore later, I guess he does it out of obligation to Lewis and obligation to Emily. When you're married, Shane says the day before the flower dance, "Oh right, it's the flower dance tomorrow. Hey, if it makes you happy, I'm happy." So clearly he's not above doing the flower dance just to make someone else happy. But then you ask him, and it's not an obligation. He cares for once. He stops eating. You make him stop eating. That's love. Our next festival is the Luau. Oh. Our next festival is the Luau on the 11th of summer. Where can we find Shane? Well, for the third time in a row, we can find our man by the food. His dialogue is, "Wow, you don't get hot pepper chutney like this in the big city." Wonderful. Once again, he's talking about the food. Once again, he's talking about it being spicy. We do have an interesting thing here where he mentions the big city, but we'll talk about this in his backstory section. We're coming back to this. In version 1.6, an alternative line was added. "I'll never turn down free food." I know, darling, I know. I think we've picked up on that by now. I hope you're all taking shots when he's standing next to the food like I told you to. You should be 3 deep by now. You should be starting to feel it, you know? Just be getting a little bit of a buzz. Next up we have the dance of the... Next, we have the dance of the Moonlight Jellies on the 28th of summer. This event, sadly, is uncatered. So our man is not standing next to the food because he can't, because there is no food. If there were food, I'm sure he would be next to it. So the Moonlight Jellies is a really interesting festival because it doesn't really do anything. With the egg festival, there's the egg hunt. With the flower dance, you dance. With the luau, there's the stoop. And all the other ones as well have some kind of gameplay element to them. But this one doesn't. It's literally just there to be beautiful. And it really is. I love the Moonlight Jellies. I love the vibe. It's so bittersweet. It's got such a melancholy to it. Basically, Lewis lights this torch and all the jellies come in. And this beautiful song plays. And there's this long period where you just watch. And then the screen fades out and it says, "The glow of summer has faded now, and the Moonlight Jellies carry on towards the great unknown." It's a festival that, you know, in my interpretation is there purely just to mark the end of summer. To watch this beautiful event, sure. But in terms of its implementation in the game, I think it has no purpose other than to signal to the player that summer is over and to be beautiful. So different characters have different dialogue for this festival based on their vibe. Sebastian says there's something in the water to freak you out. Sam jokes about pushing Sebastian in the water. Emily has something existential to say. Elliot has something deep to say, you know? Harvey says he's happy to get rid of the mosquitoes. Like, it's individual how a character responds to this event. Either they take it seriously, you know, they think deeply about it, or they just mess around. And so far, we've seen a pattern with Shane, right? Either he's talking about food or chickens. Dude loves chickens. Okay, we'll get into that. But dude loves chickens and food. So we would think that he would talk about chickens or food. But this time there are no chickens and there is no food. So what is Shane gonna say? Let's find out. The jellies were here a year ago, and they'll be back again a year from now. Nature is amazing. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. He takes it seriously. I think this is so interesting. I love this dialogue of his. I love it. Such introspection. He's pondering the passage of time. I think it makes so much sense. I'll talk about this later, I think in the next video. But he has this interiority and almost kind of like philosophical side to him. And so being at the beach and seeing this amazing event is enough to kind of clear the haze of depression and self-hatred for a little while so that he can appreciate the world around him. Other people are standing around making jokes. He's just a guy standing there being like, wow, nature's amazing. Nature is amazing, honey. I love you. As of 1.6, an alternative line got added to this as well. I wonder how many will show up this year. So this doesn't get me going as much as the other line, but it still shows a kind of curiosity with it, an engagement with it. Ah, my king, my captain, my king. All right, I took a brief break to have lunch, but we're back. So our next festival is... So our next festival is the Stardew Valley Fair on the 16th of Fall. I put autumn because fall is a stupid name for it. It's autumn. It's a nicer word. So at the Stardew Valley Fair, we find our man over by the animals. So the Stardew Valley Fair is the biggest event of the year where people come from out of town and visit. So everyone in town is kind of showing off. They've got their goods on display. So this is Marnie's display. And Shane is here helping out. You know how we said earlier that he's involved with the chickens? And he says, all these animals are friendly and love to get massaged. Cute. Again, like with the Egg Festival, we see this care for animals, this fondness for them. Bro has been massaging animals. Bring some of that energy over here, you know? I love these 2 pieces of dialogue from him. It's almost like it's a special interest for him. You get him going about animals and he's the chattiest guy in the world, you know? Really hints at that soft little inside. Think about how far we've come from the Zero Hearts dialogue at this point. If you need a reminder, there it is. Are you starting to get it? Are you starting to see? I know I said I don't need to convince anyone to like him, but you're only human, you know? If you're feeling it, don't fight it. Let it happen. So in 1.6, we got an alternative line for the fair. These animals have been given their favourite foods, so they're happy. Feel free to pet them. They won't bite. And that's kind of just this line, but reworded. They're friendly. They love to be pet. Becomes they're happy. You can pet them. But, you know, why mess with perfection? It's just more proof that this guy is out here petting cows and chickens, giving them little treats. King of my heart. There is a monarchy in my heart and he rules it. And he has the divine right of kings to do whatever he wants to. So next we have Spirits Eve, which is just Halloween, but like it's not Halloween. And it's on the 27th of autumn. Can you guess where our man is? If you said by the food, you would be correct. And Shane says, why is there no more pumpkin ale? But this is only during the first year. Wait. Look at that, it's interactive. So the unique selling point with the Spirits Eve Festival is this big maze that you as the player can go into and you solve the maze and you win a prize. And as of 1.6, the maze layout now changes. It alternates every other year, which I guess keeps it more like engaging and interesting. And when the maze changes, a bunch of other stuff changes too, including where Shane is. So in year 1, we can see Marnie and Jazz standing over by the maze entrance, and Jazz is telling Marnie she wants to go inside. But Aunt Marnie... I don't want to do like a kid's voice, I'll just do a normal voice. But Aunt Marnie, I want to go in the maze. I'm not scared. And this was standard. This was just what happened every year until the introduction of the new maze layout. And now Shane has moved, and so has Jazz. They're inside the maze, and Marnie is standing with Lewis, who is her boyfriend. I don't know when else to establish this. In the video that Lewis is Marnie's secret boyfriend. She deserves better. So during this second year, Marnie's dialogue is, I hope Jazz is okay in there. So she's obviously concerned about Jazz being in the maze. When Marnie was in charge of Jazz in the first year, she didn't let her in. And when Shane takes her in, Marnie is worried. Inside the maze, Shane's new line of dialogue is, you gotta stay close to me, Jazz. Don't run off. While Jazz says, let's go this way. So I guess it is fair enough that Marnie was concerned because it seems like Jazz has just gone batshit in this maze, you know? But what I like about this is that he says, stay close to me, don't run off. AKA, we have to stick together. And she says, let's go this way. A contraction of, let us go this way. She doesn't want to run off from him. She wants to stay close to him. You could just imagine her like dragging him by the hand, being like, come on. Oh, so cute. I really like this edition. I had my issues with it still because I just wish with my whole heart that Shane and Jazz got to have like more interactions with each other. I wish he had more clear responsibility for her. He's her godfather, but as it is, you know, with Marnie being all concerned about her, it comes across more like he's her older brother or something. We'll dive more into this with the backstory, but still, look. He has a line of dialogue that has the word Jazz in it. He acknowledges her existence. They stand next to each other. Thank you, Mother Eric, for the crumbs. Because out of all the festivals we've covered so far, we've had 4 instances of him standing alone, and only 3 instances of him standing next to or around Jazz. We'll see this with the remaining festivals. He's away from her way more than he is with her. And mostly Marnie seems to be the person who's, you know, next to her, looking after her. As I said, we'll get more into this with the backstory section, but just like, know in your mind that I don't like it. And I wish they were standing next to each other at all times, holding hands. And then I'm on his other side holding his hand. So our next festival is the Festival of Ice on the 8th of winter. There's no food at this one either, so he can't be standing next to the food. But he does say, if it was up to me, I'd probably have a pizza festival at the saloon instead. So he's thinking about food and drinks because he says the saloon. It's a little bit bland for dialogue. It's a little bit unsurprising. But we learn that he doesn't really rate this festival. And neither do I, to be honest. It's the worst one in my opinion. The only real reason to go is the fishing contest. But once you don't need the money that you get from winning the contest, there's basically no reason to go to the ice festival. It's boring. I guess it's another festival to be like, hey, look at what time of year it is. You know, like the Jellies, but it doesn't have the same pizzazz as the Jellies. It's just like a D-tier festival, in my opinion. Once again, we have Shane standing alone in both years, which is insane because in the second year, Jazz is literally standing alone, unsupervised, and he's just kind of far away from her. I mean, he's looking in her direction, but it's not like she's busy. Why don't they just stand next to each other? Mother Eric, please. I need more crumbs. I'm famished. In version 1.6, again, we get an alternative line for this festival. Winter can be really hard on animals. Did you install heaters in your coops and barns? And this sounds much more like something Marnie would say, as opposed to something Shane would say. Marnie's always giving you these gameplay hints about how to look after animals. I'm pretty sure this is the only instance of Shane doing something like that. Plus Marnie's line at the Festival of Ice is, I feel bad for all the poor cold animals out there, which kind of is essentially what he's saying. It kind of tracks though, because like we said, he has this soft spot for animals. But yeah, we're going to address this after we've covered all the festivals. But some of the new 1.6 dialogue, isn't my favourite thing in the world, putting it mildly. But let's stay on track for now. We got one more festival out of the original lineup, and then we will cover the new ones. So this next one is interesting. We've got the Feast of the Winter Star, which is essentially Christmas. Where is our man? That's right, by the food. Once again, Marnie gets all the good jazz content. Ridiculous. Marnie, you're hogging her. So he's by the food. You'd expect his dialogue to once again be about food, or beer, or both. But no, he has some more interesting dialogue. I've met some people who believe in spirits and magic. But me? I've never seen anything that couldn't be explained by science. Okay, first of all, I think he's probably referring to Emily here. You know, when he says he's met some people. We'll get into their relationship in a little while, but as I've mentioned, they have kind of a friendship. They dance at the flower dance. I think he's talking about her here because she's kind of a kooky crystal girly. She believes in spirits and magic. But someone pointed out to me in the comments of my Emily video that, she's right. She's so right. There literally are spirits and magic in the valley. There's Junimos. There's a witch. There's a wizard. You can teleport. There are fairies. But I see a lot of people taking this line as Shane is ignorant to all of the magic going on around him. He's denying that it exists. He's some kind of r/atheism guy. In this moment, I'm euphoric, not because of any phony god's blessing, but because I have been enlightened by my own intelligence. Type beat. But in my humble expert opinion, I don't think that's what he's saying. He's not saying that kind of thing doesn't exist. He says, quote, I've never seen anything that couldn't be explained by science, right? He's telling us his stance pretty clearly. Some people believe in spirits and magic, but he's never seen anything that science couldn't explain. So he's got no reason to believe in that kind of thing. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but just saying he's not a fantastical kind of guy. He's not going to believe in something that doesn't have evidence behind it. Honestly, based on what he says here, I think if he did see some kind of crazy magical shit, he'd be open to it. I think it's an agnostic stance. Sure, in the Six Heart scene, he says directly that he's an atheist, but I think that is just in reference to God. I see Yoba, God, religion, etc. being separate to the magic in the Junimos and stuff. I asked in 2 Discord servers and I Googled it, and I couldn't find anything that suggests that in Stardew Valley, God is real. It's kind of funny, I was dropping into Discord servers being like, hey chat, is God real? But there's all this kooky magic stuff happening, so we do know 100% that magic exists in this universe, but we never see Yoba specifically doing anything. We don't ever have proof that he exists. So in terms of religion, it's like our universe. You can believe in it, you can not believe in it, but there's no proof. So it's entirely possible that he firmly doesn't believe in Yoba, but when it comes to spirits and magic, he's agnostic. Agnostic doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the fence. that you're undecided. I would call myself an agnostic despite not believing in God, because if you showed me proof, I would question it heavily, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility that God was real. I'm open to it. I would have some questions for her, but like, cool. Join my dream blunt rotation. This is the definition of agnostic that I learned in UK state school, by the way, so if it's wrong, blame Margaret Thatcher. But it's interesting that he hasn't ever seen any magical shit. Because yeah, magical shit exists in this world. It feels like you can't go 2 feet in Pelican Town without running into a fucking Junimo, or the player literally teleporting around, or Krobus in the sewer, or, you know, the fucking Spirits Eve festival when there's literally skeletons walking around. But I guess he thinks that this stuff can be explained by science. He thinks the skeletons are like animatronics or something. I think it's an interesting combination of him writing things off as being explainable and also keeping his head down, not being interested in the world around him. So far, I've only referenced his depression a few times. I haven't really dove into it. And we're mostly going to do that in the next video when it becomes more relevant, but bro is depressed. Canonically. Same, babe. The word depression is used in the game in his dialogue. He has depression. Capital D. And depression can make you uninterested in the world around you. In my experience, it's partly just because the world is so huge. There's so much stuff. And an overwhelming majority of it is never going to be relevant to your life. And when you have so little energy, it's like, why would I spend my energy on that? You kind of conserve. You have limited resources. You spend them where you need them. This is the way that I see him. He doesn't want to talk to you because it takes energy to talk to you. Real. Relatable. Sometimes I have to say to my husband, like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just tired because I don't have the energy to like make my voice do all of these different notes, make my face do all of these expressions, you know? And then if it's a stranger as well, there's all this other stuff going on there, trying to think of something to say, trying to think of how you come across to them, trying to read them, try to read their vibe so you can like match it. I am neurodivergent. I don't know if you can tell. Bro is just going through the world on low power mode. He tells you in a later line of dialogue that he just tosses and turns all night, so he doesn't sleep well. Probably at least in part due to the drinking, because alcohol affects your quality of sleep. So he wakes up tired, has to go to work, spends his evenings recharging a little at the saloon, and then does it all again. Of course he doesn't want to talk to you. Of course he comes across rude, because he's spending as little energy as possible. You're a speed bump. You're like a drain on him. He's got so little energy he can't afford to spend it on you. And the other side to it is just a genuine lack of interest, I think. He has this interiority to him that I'll talk about properly in the next video, but there are all these references to him being in a shell. The older bachelor note says he's insulating his softness. It implies this kind of inwards-facing focus. He's not really looking out. He's looking in. In 1.6, this new thing was introduced called Green Rain, where basically it rains green and a bunch of weird plants show up, and all the characters have new dialogue to be like, what the fuck? This is fucking weird. Shane's reaction? Oh, there's some kind of weird weather today? I didn't notice. Bro doesn't even notice that the rain is green. There's also the group 10 heart event. Okay, quick explanation of the group 10 heart event. If you date all of the bachelors at once, and you get them to 10 hearts, and you see all of their 10 heart cutscenes, you get a special scene where they all confront you, and they go, what the fuck? And there's also a version of this for the bachelorettes. After these events, all of the characters have cold shoulder dialogue, where they will only say one line to you for an entire week after, and then after which, they will forgive you. Shane's line during this period isn't even a dialogue line, it's a description line, and it reads, Shane has a glazed look in his eye. He won't speak to you. It hurts. It causes me pain. So glazed implies this unfocus of his gaze, like a film between him and the world around him. You know, like when you're staring off in the distance and you're thinking and your eyes just go kind of blurry? That's what he's like all the time. Disassociated. Just stuck inside his brain. If there's supernatural stuff going on around him, he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't notice. He doesn't care. So if he's saying here, he would have to see something that couldn't be explained by science in order to believe in magic, then of course he doesn't believe in magic, because he's not looking. I've been there. I've been there so hard. That shell around you can be helpful, sure. It protects you, but you can't see past it either. No one can hurt you, but no one can even get to you. Personally, I found over the years that the more I open myself up to other people and other experiences, the more I put myself out there and let myself get hurt, the happier I become. Sure, there's risk, but it's a risk you have to take. And it's a risk I think he did take. in the past. But we will get to that during the backstory. Yeah. Okay, so those are the 8 original festivals that were in the game upon release. I now have to take all of this down and put the other 2 up. So BRB. Appreciate my effort quickly. Okay, thank you. Okay, so every time I say okay so in life, my husband says cheese because of queso. And now that just lives in my head every time I say okay so, which is a million times a day. Okay, so in 2018, with version 1.3.27, the night market was added. And then in 2024, with version 1.6, we got the Desert Festival. These are more low-key festivals, as I mentioned, so time continues to pass. Not all the buildings close, not everyone is there all the time. You can kind of wander in and out at your leisure. So the night market. That went pretty well. So the night market runs over 3 nights, from the 15th to the 17th of winter. Each villager only attends for 1 night, and Shane attends on the first night with Jazz. Marnie goes on the second night with Lewis. Win for the Shane girlies. Thank you, Mother Eric. Thank you. But I am a little bit confused because I'll show you a screen recording that I took on the 10th of January, and you can see quite clearly that he's standing there at the night market alone. But then when I went to double check, she stood next to him the entire time. They even walked all the way home together. I followed them home. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why that's different, but still. Thank you, Eric, for the crumbs. So Shane's line of dialogue here is, I'm taking a night off from the saloon for Jazz's sake. Really, there should be another S there after the apostrophe, Eric, because it tends to be that if you say the S out loud, then you should write it. But, you know, you're not a writer, are you? Look, it's cute, okay? He's pausing his alcoholism for a day for her. He's just taking a night off. He's so girl dad. Right? Also, peep the winter outfit. We'll talk more about this later, but it's a great winter outfit. Oh, it's a good winter outfit. Love it. So here we see another kind of hint at some responsibility he has for Jazz. He was looking after her in the maze, and now he's taking her to the night market. He even takes a night off from the saloon. But this kind of vague thing between them is all that we get. That's why I say thank you for the crumbs, is because all that we have are crumbs. If you ever wonder why fanfiction exists, it's shit like this. Oh, here's a romantical character who will blush and tell you directly to your face, looking out of the screen, that you have cured his depression, right? And here is this daughter figure that he has. And here's 2 fucking lines that they have about each other. Don't think about that too much. Don't. What? Of course I'm going to write 100,000 words about it. Are you joking? Are you having me on? Are you having a laugh? Eric. But we see with this line, at least an awareness of responsibility, of like what he owes to her. He probably wouldn't come to the night market otherwise. He'd be at the saloon, but he's taking a night off for her sake. There's a little nugget there, right? The ability to change these harmful behaviours because of someone that he loves. The desire to be there for her, to be in her life. Honestly, he kind of gives deadbeat dad vibes. Even though he lives with her, he shows up like once a year to take her to the night market. Maybe he buys her something and then he fucks off again. My dad was like that. He took me and my sister to this random like fair and we went on a ghost ride. And we were definitely too young to go on there because neither of us have been on one since because it scarred us for life. Thanks, Dad. You're going to get so much Fiona lore in these videos because I'm just going to empathise with all of his trauma. So to conclude, we can say that this shell between him and the world, this shell is not 100% intact when it comes to him and Jazz. He's doing things for her sake. He still has the ability to choose to not drink for a night when it will make her happy. The bar for men is in hell, and he is still kind of below it at this point, but it's okay because I am in love with him, unironically. So the Desert Festival is one of the newest ones. We won't be covering the fishing festivals because they don't really have anything to do with Shane. He doesn't even go. The Desert Festival is kind of like the night market in that it runs for 3 days, from the 15th to the 17th of spring. And people kind of wander in and out, you know, everyone only attends for 1 day. Shane only goes on the 3rd day, the 17th of spring. And where is he? By the food. This guy gives you food. So he's by the food. How many shots is that now? Let me know. How drunk are you? So we'll talk about Shane's dialogue first, right? If you talk to Shane at the Desert Festival when he's standing here, he says, I came here once when I was a kid. The only thing I remember is getting sick on the bus ride. And like the main thing I take from this is like, fair enough. There's loads of things I did as a kid and the only thing I remember is like throwing up. One time my sister threw up on me on the London Underground. That's a cool memory. We can take some backstory implications here, but I just don't know what else to take from it that we haven't already covered. I think he's just not really interested in the festival. He could say anything and he says this. He's on low power mode. He's just thinking about negative stuff. So, to talk more about the Desert Festival. A really, honestly, kind of weird thing about the Desert Festival is that each villager can have their own shop. So each day of the festival, 2 villagers are chosen at random to be merchants. They appear in these little booths and they sell things that are just kind of to do with their character. So I'll give you an example of this, right? Let's do a case study. If we look at Alex's stock. Side note, his vendor dialogue is so funny. He says, hey, got any eggs? Smelling his eggs. So we start off normal with some of his favourite foods. Fried eggs, milk, pancakes, hash browns. These are all ingredients that you need in order to cook Alex one of his loved gifts, which is complete breakfast. Great, that makes sense. Sure, why not? Next we have Muscle Remedy, and this is an item that removes your exhaustion if your energy gets to 0, and it also gives you some health and energy. You can buy this from the clinic, so that makes sense as well. You know, it's like readily available. Sure, I can believe that. Then we get to our next item, Alex's bat. This is a weapon. You can use it in the mines to hurt enemies. The description of the item is, the sweet spot is dented from Alex's famous Grand Slam. It's obviously not famous because it's not mentioned anywhere else in the entire game. I also don't think there's any other reference to him playing baseball. He's pretty solidly a grid ball guy. But anyway, this prized possession of his, he doesn't want to keep it. He sells it at the Desert Festival, I guess. His old bat from high school that's still dented from this amazing thing he did. Sure, let's sell it to some stranger at the Desert Festival. Out of obligation. Whatever. It's kind of weird, but it's not implausible. Maybe he's having a bit of a clear out, you know? I don't know. And then the last thing you can buy from Alex is the magic hair gel. You can only get this item from Alex at the Desert Festival, and it is a trinket. Trinkets are like little doodads that mostly help you with combat. So like it'll give you a little frog that'll hop around with you, or like a fairy that shoots arrows or something. It's like an extra slot on your character for your trinket. But the only function that this hair gel serves is to make it so that your hair constantly cycles through the colours of a prismatic shard. Doesn't help you in any other way. Why does Alex have this? Right? Why is he selling it? Is it literally just because he has spiky hair and he talks about hair gel? Therefore, in the logic of the Desert Festival, he has this magical goop that makes your hair bioluminescent. This is the issue I have with the villagers being merchants. In that it's like, yeah, okay, it's cool. It's a fun idea, Eric. But it breaks the suspension of disbelief so much. They all sell such weird shit. Loads of them sell weapons. And it's like, okay, you're telling me that Elliot's pencil is so sharp that it consistently does 24 to 30 points of damage if you stab someone with it. Haley's curling iron is classed as a sword and gives you plus 10 crit power. Like, it's absurd. It's low-key camp. I'm not one for nitpicking. That is kind of a lie, actually, but like, I get it. You know, cool, silly, goofy. The game's not real. What does it really matter? At least we got these cool items. But in my opinion, it just kind of commodifies their characters. It kind of flanderises them. Ned Flanders is a character from the hit sitcom The Simpsons, which, you probably know this already. You know what The Simpsons is. Let's get down to brass tacks. When The Simpsons first started airing in 1989, Ned Flanders was just a guy. I got Disney Plus so that I could go check this out. If you watch the very first episode, Series 1, Episode 1, Simpsons roasting on an open fire, Ned is introduced and there isn't even a mention of him being a Christian. His function in the story is to be a guy who lives next to Homer and has more money so that Homer feels inadequate. He is a plot device. His next appearance, Series 1, Episode 7, also doesn't mention him being a Christian. Again, it's how much more money he has than Homer. In Series 1, Episode 8, the Simpsons go to church, and Ned's not even there. But you think of Ned Flanders in 2025, you think of Christianity. The etymology of the term flanderisation is unclear in terms of timings, and I was going to look into this further, do a bit of a deep dive, but then I remembered this video is about Shane. So I didn't, but I did learn that it was coined by the website TV Tropes under this definition: the act of taking a single, often minor, action or trait of a character within a work and exaggerating it more and more over time until it completely consumes the character. Most always, the trait/action becomes completely outlandish and it becomes the defining characteristic, turning them into a caricature of their former selves. Sitcoms and sitcom characters are particularly susceptible to this, as are peripheral characters in shows with long runs. The trope is named for the Simpsons character Ned Flanders, who was originally depicted as a friendly, generous Christian neighbour and a model father, husband and citizen, making him a contrast to Homer Simpson. As seasons progressed, however, he became increasingly obsessively religious, to the point where he eventually embodied almost every negative stereotype of the God-fearing, Bible-thumping American Christian evangelist. Note that the key to this trope is in how the process is a gradual thing. The character starts relatively normal, with a few quirks. The quirks become more prominent, then the quirks gradually become the character. Now, TV Tropes has a lot of very specific definitions of things. There's a whole section on the flanderisation page of if it does it like this, then it's actually this. If it's an adaptation, then it's actually this, The term flanderisation in colloquial language, as you would just use it in conversation, is less specific. It tends to just refer to this element of a single quirk consuming a character, of a character becoming a caricature. This is what I don't like about the villagers being merchants. They're flanderized. There's very, 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 very little that is surprising on these lists. Take the Alex hair gel, for example. I guess it's surprising that he's got this magic hair gel, but number one, that doesn't make any sense. And number two, it's just because he's the guy who puts gel in his hair. Let's look at Pam. Look at what Pam sells at the Desert Festival. Pam either drives a bus or is unemployed. She does not make beer. She is an alcoholic. What does she sell at the Desert Festival? Beer! How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. There's a quest in the game called Pam is Thirsty, where you have to make a pale ale and bring it to her. So obviously she can't make it herself, but she's an alcoholic, so I don't know. What's she gonna sell? Beer? Sure. When she's a vendor, the line of dialogue that she has is, he, found some old beverages in the back of the fridge. Really? She found these beverages in the back of the fridge and she decided to sell them at the Desert Festival instead of drinking them when she goes to the saloon every night? It doesn't make sense for her as a character. It really feels like the thought process was, oh, Pam, drinking, beer. Haley, vain, curling tongue. Alex, crazy hair, hair gel. Shane? Let's look at Shane. Right. So his line of dialogue is, found some food in the freezer. It's yours for cheap. Just don't look at the expiration date. Okay, we'll come back to that later. But this is the in-universe justification for why he's selling what he's selling. And this makes sense for the pepper poppers, I guess, as the pizza. Why are all of these people just finding random objects in their home and bringing them to sell? How is he selling frozen food in the desert? Right? Whatever, okay. I'll suspend my disbelief. And the fact that he's selling 12 eggs makes sense. He is our chicken boy. He has access to eggs. He lives on a farm, right? That's the only one I'm on board with. That one's fine. No complaints. And then he's selling a chicken decal. And to be fair, this chicken decal is the cutest thing in the whole world. Look at it. I love them. I love them. Okay, the chicken's sitting on the other chicken's head. I do love them. The only place you can get this chicken decal in the game is at Shane's shop. Did he make this? If that can't be explained by him finding it in the freezer, why does he own this? Why is he selling it? Can we read into it? Can we say that he has a secret passion for making wall decals? He has an Etsy shop or something, and he's using this as an excuse to sell them. You could say that. You could read into it. You could headcanon Shane as, small business owner. He's got a cricket, he's making vinyl stickers, I just don't buy it. Given everything else, it feels flanderized. The vendor system in general feels like a way to put new items in the game, and the villagers are just a vehicle for that. So personally, I don't like it. It breaks my suspension of disbelief. It commodifies the characters. It takes their quirks and it blows them so out of proportion that Penny's frying pan is now a weapon. If we take this further though, if we don't just talk about the Desert Festival, I've been kind of alluding to this a little bit through the video, but I, and others have noticed this too, believe that flanderisation happens in general in this game. We're going to circle back to Shane, because of course we will, but for some backing up of my argument, let's look at two quick case studies. Clint and Demetrius. This is born from some conversations had in my Discord server, so thank you to all of those people for being really smart and cool. So we were defending Demetrius, because of course we were. It's my Discord server. Of course we were. And the conversation turned to flanderisation, and someone linked to this comment from Reddit. He was flanderised. In the base game, Demetrius was supportive of Robin's work. He had a couple of lines promoting her business to the farmer, and at the Stardew Valley Fair mentions that Robin works hard and deserves her recognition. He was also the first bidder at Leah's art show. Even in his 6-hut cutscene with the tomatoes, he's polite to both Robin and the farmer the whole time, even if you disagree with him, and thanks you after promising to communicate better. Concerned Ape leans into fandom characterization. We've seen it with Abigail's rock-eating canonizations, the Lewis Easter eggs, and Clint's awkward dialogue updates. This cutscene came out in 1.5, which was 4 years after release, ergo 4 years of fans complaining about him. Come 1.6, and now Demetrius has lines about not understanding why humans dance, even though he's been dancing at the saloon for the past 8 years of the game's release. It's disappointing. And so I took it upon myself to investigate these claims, because at heart I truly am just a journalist, you know? I'm an investigative reporter of Stardew Valley. The scene that this thread was referencing is the hardwood bed scene, which we discussed in my Mary video. It's basically a scene where Demetrius, arguably, does not come off super great. This cutscene is a result of the quest Robin's Project, which is a special order, and the special orders board was introduced in version 1.5, so that part of the Reddit comment is correct. It's true that when we compare his 6-hut scene about the tomatoes, which was in the base game, with the hardwood bed scene, we do see him leaning into this fandom interpretation of him as very analytical, very logical, unable to see any kind of nuance, and also quite harsh on his family. In the newer scene, he walks off when you disagree with him, but in the older scene, he's friendly and polite the whole time. He doesn't seem bothered. The line about the dancing particularly interested me. So Robin and Demetrius dance every Saturday night at the saloon. It's quite cute, to be honest. They also dance at the luau, and their dialogue at the luau since release has been, "Ow, you stepped on my foot, dear. This is tiring, honey. Are you ready to visit the buffet soon?" So from this, we get the impression that maybe Robin's a little bit keener on the dancing than he is. He just wants to get to the food. Understandable, I would be too. But do you remember how Shane would get alternate lines for the festivals in version 1.6? The other characters are the same. And so now every other year, Robin and Demetrius will say this: "Why do humans enjoy dancing? Perhaps it is an instinctual mechanism, so that we will inadvertently convey our genetic quality to potential mates." Demetrius, it's because it's fun. Now look, I don't hate this line. I don't necessarily think it's out of character. It's not that he's saying he doesn't enjoy dancing, he doesn't see the appeal, he's just wondering why we enjoy it. Robin says it's because it's fun, but he's wondering why is it fun? He's dancing and his brain is lighting up with like good chemicals, and he's happy, and he's wondering, why am I happy? It's a pretty normal thought process, especially for a scientist, and especially for someone who is likely neurodivergent. Do you ever do something and you find yourself thinking, why did I do that? Oh, it's probably just like an evolutionary thing where it would ingratiate you more with your community and mean that you weren't exiled, and therefore you had a higher chance of survival because, you know, community and working together is the thing that like developed human civilization. You ever find yourself thinking that? Yeah, me too. But that's so interesting to compare the two lines directly, one from 2016 and one from 2024. Look at that difference. In 2016, he's a scientist, he thinks tomatoes are fruits. In 2024, he doesn't understand why Robin made her bed beautiful, and he's analysing his dancing as he's doing it. Again, I don't think it's out of character, but that's not the point. It's one part of his character that's been blown out of proportion, aka flanderisation. Now let's look at Clint. Clint sucks. I'm not defending Clint. I mentioned in the Emily video that he reminds me of a very specific person that I used to know, and that's probably part of the reason that I hate him so much. But I will criticise his characterisation. In the base game, outside of cutscenes, Clint's dialogue was like pretty normal. I'd say that the most pathetic and whiny he gets are these lines. "Damn it, I'm too old to do anything exciting anymore. All I have to look forward to is years and years of sweaty, hot furnace work." Sweaty, hot furnace work. "The weather doesn't really matter to me. I typically stay near my shop year round.
Depressing, huh? Sometimes I wonder how I ended up in this town.
My Eeyore voice is back. It's pretty mild, right? Guy kind of hates his life, but he's okay. He's friendly. He's fine. He's all right. He's mid, you know? Come version 1.5, and Ginger Island is introduced. And Clint's Ginger Island dialogue is so whack.
I'm gonna put on my special red trunks. They're supposed to be really eye-catching. Oh no, I forgot to clip my toenails. I thought working a furnace would have prepared me for this heat, but I'm sweating in places I didn't know I could. I hope no one noticed.
Clint's body is glistening.
Ow, my whole torso was burnt to a crisp. I'm hungry. We're all at the beach, but I still feel so alone. Well, that didn't turn out like I was imagining.
He hates it. He hates it. He leaves and he says it wasn't like he was imagining. He's just so depressing the entire time. He has no fun at all. He just complains. Then we get to version 1.6 and Clint has new lines of dialogue.
You're giving this to me? I don't think I deserve it, but thank you. I heard Emily has a friend who lives in the desert. Do you know anything about her? I wonder if she's single. I should save up and buy a computer. Maybe I can find a girlfriend on the internet? What? Don't judge me. Not everyone is a cool, attractive, socially adept farmer, you know. What's a guy like me supposed to do? I hate to say it, but sometimes I'm glad my father forced me to become a blacksmith. At least I have a profession. If I didn't have work to do, I'd probably spend all day just sitting around, feeling sorry for myself.
Which all help to paint the picture of him as some fucking loser. Like, are you seriously saying that in the year 2024, a line was added to this game that makes finding a girlfriend on the internet sound lame? I met my husband on Tinder, and that was in 2016, when the game came out. Clint just turns into a punching bag, a comic relief character. The pathetic part of his personality consumes him. Flanderized. You're flanderized. You're flanderized. Right, I think I've made my point pretty well. We've established that this is a thing. I've accidentally made a tangent that could be a whole video. Again, because I seem to hate going easy on myself. Let's circle back around to Shane. I'm going to start off strong with the worst culprit. I'm not going to fuck around. You will see what I mean. Remember his Jellies dialogue? That wonderful line about the jellies that I wrote hundreds of words about? Here it is again. The jellies were here a year ago, and they'll be back again a year from now. Nature is amazing. Nature's amazing. He has hope for one brief, shining moment. Beautiful. One of my favourite moments of characterization for him. And we went over the alternative line that was added for him in 1.6. I wonder how many will show up this year. And this is worse. Categorically. Sure, he's still curious about the jellies, he's still engaging with them, but compared to that other line, it just feels kind of flat. It feels like filler, you know? It feels like an alternative line. It's just kind of not noteworthy, in my opinion. But the worst part is what he says when you're his spouse. If Shane is your husband and you're at the Moonlight Jellies, as of 1.6, he will now say, "Are you all prepared for the fall?" "I am." "Huh? Oh, I bought a king-size bag of pumpkin chips. You can have one if you want." And I hate this so much. We've been saying all through this section that his event dialogue is about food. And that's fine. Man loves food. We know this. Cool. He's not super interested in the festivals. He cares about the food more than anything. This fits with the hedonistic, pleasure-chasing kind of interpretation I have of him. But one of the only festivals he seems to engage with, the only one where his engagement isn't through animals and is through his own actual interest. Now, if you're married to him, he just has this dog shit line about food. He's prepared for the fall? What does that mean? Eric! Eric! He brought a snack to his favourite festival. He's going to be standing there loudly eating crisps while this thing is happening that he called amazing. Are you serious? Did you think about this for more than 30 seconds? No. Fuck you. But life. Look, I could be incredibly generous with this line of dialogue, right? There could be an argument made here that this is only because you're married. The jellies were previously a thing that kind of lit up this otherwise mundane, depressing reality of his for a brief moment, broke through this haze of disassociation and planted him in the here and now. You could argue that now he's married to you, it doesn't mean as much to him anymore. Life in general is pretty pog, so it doesn't like spark joy in the same way as before. You could argue that him being more indifferent to them is a kind of character growth, but I don't think that's the case. Number one, because of all the other examples of flanderized dialogue that we will get to. Number two, in other situations where the new dialogue is trying to show us some kind of growth or exposition, it is painfully spelled out to us. For example, his new 1.6 line at the Winter Star. What am I thankful for? I'm thankful that you pulled me out of the gutter and showed me that life is worth living. Like, okay, sure. Right. But we can see that Mr. Baloney is not coy about laying that exposition on thick, just having him spell out his feelings plain as day. So this Jellies line, in my expert opinion, is not some, hint at his character growth. It's just kind of out of character and stupid bullshit, and I'm fine. I'm fine. Let's move on now to his new dialogue outside of events that was added in the 1.6 update. I don't want to, but we will. I'm going to skip around in terms of his dialogue in this section. I always try to go linearly in terms of like hearts, but we're going to have to, okay? We have to. Let's look at this line, added in version 1.6 at 4 hearts. If the tunnelers win, I'll knock back a cold one to celebrate. If they lose, I'll have a cold one to drown my sorrows. Ha ha ha! He's going to drink a beer no matter what, if his team wins or loses. It's a great joke. At this point, at 4 hearts, if you're a new player, this is probably the first time you learn that he's into the tunnelers, the gridball team. I guess maybe it sets up his 10 heart scene better, where you go to a tunnelers game. But what does it add? We know he likes beer. We know he has a drinking problem. Maybe I'd like this line more if he didn't refer to beer as a cold one. It just makes me think of Twilight. How they refer to the Cullens as the cold ones. I don't know, it just doesn't pass the vibe test, okay? I can't really explain it. So let's look at a new 6 heart line. This one has 2 variations and they're both new. I'll be honest, I still can't understand why you'd want to be friends with me. Life isn't fair. And I can't help but feel bitter about it. Life is unfair. So that first one is kind of a repeat of an existing 4 hearts line. You're really persistent. I guess I'm just surprised that anyone would be interested in talking to me. Right? He doesn't know why you want to be his friend, and he just says that again at 6 hearts. It doesn't add anything really. The second line about life not being fair, there's just no subtlety to it. He's just telling you how he feels, which is like fine, I guess, but compare it to this 4 hearts line. Every time I try something new, it goes horribly wrong. You learn to just stay in a shell. This line doesn't say, oh, every time I try something new, it goes wrong, and so I've stopped trying new things. And I think that this is unfair. It's got some subtlety, right? You have to read into it a little bit. So there's another new 6 hearts line. Why try? Life's just a roll of the dice. When they rolled mine, the dice fell off the table. So I guess here he's saying, life is unfair. So what's the point of putting any effort in? Then in the second part, he says they rolled his dice. Who are they? Is it implying some belief in a higher power? In his 6 heart scene, he directly tells you that he's an atheist. So, like, it could just be a joke, but the implication is that before he was born, the odds of the universe were, like, stacked against him. And I just... Right. And I just don't agree, Eric. I don't agree that he would feel this way, that he would say this. I don't think he thinks life is unfair. I don't think he thinks, why try? I don't think he thinks life is a roll of the dice. I think it would be easy to see him thinking those things if, say, you haven't written Shane's dialogue for 8 years and you're going back to your game to add dialogue for every character for a new update. But personally, I have been writing his dialogue in fanfiction for like 1.5 years now and thinking very deeply about his character. So, Eric, I think I am more qualified than you at this point. Fiona Sangster made Stardew Valley. You may think it's Hatsune Miku, but it's not, it's me. I'm so intense about this. I don't think he would ever say, why try? Look at the piece of dialogue we just looked at. Every time I try something new, it goes horribly wrong. He literally just told us that he has tried new things multiple times in the past. They have gone horribly wrong, so he's learned to stop trying. When he says that life is unfair, or that it's a roll of the dice and his fell off the table, that implies a view of the universe as like random and chaotic, as if there's nothing you can do to influence anything. Why try? A predeterminism, or just a lack of control. In short, he feels a lack of control over his life. We see this in the 6 heart scene where he talks about taking control back. But even within the 6 heart scene, we can see that he doesn't blame the universe for his failures. He blames himself. Why do I even try? I'm too small and too stupid to take control of my life. I'm just a piece of soiled garbage flittering in the wind, but I'm too scared, too anxious, just like always. I think his worldview is pretty clear. The world is cruel, but it's not unfair. But it's him that's to blame for his life. He's too small and stupid, too scared and anxious. In his 8 heart scene, he refers to a guy like him. In his engaged dialogue, he says, someone like me. In his 2 heart scene, he says that he's not strong enough to climb out of the hole. It's not that he's just like everyone else and he got a bad role. It's his fault. He takes all of this bad stuff that has presumably happened to him every time the trying has gone horribly wrong. And instead of someone like Sebastian who directs it outwards, being a little bitch about his sister, blaming the world, Shane directs it inwards. He blames himself. He hates himself. He thinks he's some different breed of person that just isn't built right to deal with the world around us. So to boil all of that down to, life is unfair and I can't help but feel bitter about it, pisses me off. I'll throw a few more examples at you. For 1.6, we got a new item called cont.d. So this is a special thing because it's like made for gifting. Everyone loves it. True universal love. Usually you can only give people 2 gifts a week, plus 1 on their birthday, but you can give this one as many times as you want, at any time. There doesn't seem to be much lore on the Stardew, like on the wiki page or in its description, but it seems like it's different for each person who drinks it. Reminds them of like their favourite thing or just like a nice feeling. For example, Leo will say, "Wow, tastes just like golden walnuts. This is great." Elliot says, "Oh, what a gift. The aroma alone is inspiring." I miss him. I love doing that voice. Leah says, "Oh wow, I had a sip of this stuff when I was a kid, and I've never forgotten the taste." So it's this special kind of drink that like manifests your greatest desires. Either your favourite taste or your favourite feeling or some kind of good memory associated with it. And what does Shane say? Heh, thanks. Tastes just like beer. We know he likes beer. He actually loves beer, which we'll get into when we cover his likes and dislikes. Right, you think of Shane drinking something, you think of beer. And so does Concerned Ape, apparently. Oh, what would Shane say for this kind of thing? Beer? Really? That's all you can think of? He doesn't get to have a nice childhood memory. He doesn't say anything about how he's so happy that you've given this super rare special thing to him. Beer? That's all you can think of? I have a lot of other dialogue I could complain about, but honestly, I think I've made my point. I'm going to go over one more to kind of cap us off. There's this thing that the love interests in Stardew Valley do when you get them to around 8 hearts, and it's hinting very strongly and not subtly at all that they want to move in with you and live on the farm. Take Penny. She says this at 6 hearts. "I wish I could keep a garden, but our yard is such a mess. Maybe I'll live in a place where I can have a garden someday. Maybe I'll live on a farm." Babes, we're at 6 hearts, and I'm married with 2 children. Can you keep it in your pants, please? I'm not going to go through every romanceable to check if they do this, but from making these deep dives, it's definitely the majority. It might literally be all of them. But you know who doesn't have a line like that? Shane. And you could say that this is left over from when he was non-romanceable, but I like this. It feels like it makes sense for him. He's not going to expect anything from you like that. He's not going to let himself hope for something like that. He's also just incredibly undesperate for your approval for anything from you. I mean, with his arc, he realizes he can rely on other people. But like, yeah, it makes total sense that this guy's not out here being like, Teehee, maybe I'll live on a farm, you know? Oh, but Eric needs more lines of dialogue for 1.6. So do you know what he says now? Your farm seems like a great place to raise chickens. Everything's fine. Not only does he now just do what everyone else does, it's about chickens. Because of course it's about chickens. Our bro is so flanderized. Food, beer, depression, chickens. I mean, to be fair, if you asked me to summarize Shane, I'd probably say those 4 things. But that's a summary. If you asked me to write his dialogue, I would do a much better job. And I have done a much better job, but I can't show it to you. And it kills me. It kills me. Honestly, it does. Like, okay, call me spoiled. Do it. Call me spoiled. This game is still updating and adding more dialogue 8 years after it came out, for free. I bought it in 2018, and I have paid no money since, and I'm still getting hundreds of hours out of it. Call me spoiled. Okay, thank you, finally. But you know what? If you think that, that's fine. This is kind of my job as a Stardew Valley analysis YouTuber and Shane's #1 fan. I know there are at least 81 people out there who think they love him more than I do, but I would like to go toe to toe with you on that. Like, literally prove it. Literally prove it. So if I'm not going to say it, who is? Some of these new dialogue lines suck. And I know it's not just Shane. I've seen other people complain about things in 1.6 feeling out of character. I mean, we literally just went through Clint and Demetrius. And I get it. Concerned Ape, he's busy. He's trying to do Haunted Chocolatier, and 1.6 had a bunch of other changes in it. But like, the guy's a millionaire. It's like I said in the Penny video. Dude, can't you hire someone else? Can't you delegate? Why do you have to do it all yourself? Is it pride? If you're not going to sit down and really take the time to get into the mindset of each character before you write them, if you're just going to do it from vibes or from memory and do such a bad job that some of the new dialogue lines will directly contradict previous dialogue lines, what's the point? Hire someone else to do it. I don't even mean me. Although, let's be real, it should be me. Although I've probably burned my bridge with Eric at this point. I've read so much fanfiction with more nuance than these dialogue lines. I bet you take any writer and you give them this task and you give them the time and space to think about each character and their nuances, and you would get a better result than the creator of this game, years after most of the dialogue was originally written, assuming he could just knock this shit out in an afternoon. Okay, I believe I have made my point here. We have discussed all of Shane's Zero Hearts dialogue at this point, and even some of his non-Zero Hearts dialogue, and even some of his cutscenes, okay? I'm sorry, I just needed to get it out of me. I wrote this whole section about flanderisation in one day. It just poured out of me. Let's turn to slightly lighter topics now. We have reached the info dumping portion of the video. Let me lay tens of thousands of words on you about this man. You were going to leave this video knowing too much. I'm unburdening my excessive Shane knowledge onto you. The Shane rot must be spread. I thought this was a good time to wear the beanie because it has one of his items on it. This isn't merch. I'm not selling it or anything. I just wanted it. I just made myself a bunch of homemade Shane merch for the video. Also just to own, you know, no profit incentive, just vibes. So let's discuss his likes and dislikes. First of all, loves. The loved gifts of a romanceable in this game become kind of iconic for them. Alex and his complete breakfast, Haley and her pink cake, Leah and her salad, Abigail and Amethyst. A lot of the time you can just look at someone's loved gifts and just instantly get a sense of their vibe. Shane's loved gifts are pizza, beer, hot pepper, pepper poppers. Sorry, the pepper poppers is so much smaller. I had to do that one by hand. And I can't be biased about this selection of items because this is what I wrote in my notes. I said, objectively hot. I use the word objectively in the same way that people use the word literally, in that it's the opposite. Because you can't say something is objectively hot. That just doesn't make any sense. That's an oxymoron. But also, yes, you can, because these are objectively hot loved gifts. I'm huffing such glue here, but it's the vibe of it. Number one, someone who can eat and enjoy spicy food is hot. I probably think this because I can't. I'm white, you McWhite over here. I get Nando's medium. Sometimes my husband puts too much medium chili powder in dinner and I have to get a glass of milk. So someone who can not only handle it, but enjoys it, hot. Objectively. If you can eat spicy food as well, you are objectively hot. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. Number two, beer and pizza. So we'll get more into this in a second when I discuss his appearance, right? But it's something about the laziness. The kind of subtle... Oh, why is this video so horny? The kind of subtle, dirty masculinity of it. The best way I can think of to describe it is like Lana Del Rey's video games. Go listen to that song and think about Shane. Okay? Or don't. I mean, keep watching this video, but imagine doing that. Do you see what I mean? This is one of those things where it's like you either get it or you don't, but that's how it feels to me. This kind of like Marlon... It's this kind of like Marlon Brando-esque, effortless kind of almost sleaziness. Oh my god. Am I going to put this on the internet? We'll see. We'll see. Another part of it is almost definitely that I don't like beer either. And I wish that I did because I think it's hot. But that shit tastes bad. So we look at his loved gifts as a whole. And I know that there's a million people out there who like beer and spicy food. It's very common. It's not like he's special. My husband also loves beer and spicy food, which definitely does not have anything to do with the fact that I am attracted to it. No, how could it? But I look at these loved gifts as a whole, and it's giving me hot slob. Okay, we're coming back to this, as I said. We're going to put this aside for now. But for now, let's look at more of his likes and dislikes. So for the rest of his loves, he loves all of the universal loves. Golden pumpkin, magic rock candy, pearl, prismatic shard, rabbit's foot, stardrop tea. Quick headcanon time. Oh my god, I just hit the light. Quick headcanon time. If this game had whiskey in it, I think he would be a whiskey man too. Don't tell me he's routinely getting drunk on beer and he's not tired of being bloated, right? You drink a beer, it's like eating a slice of bread, and it's cheaper to concentrate your alcohol. I have to stay so still so this doesn't fall off. And whiskey drinking is also hot. We're not glamorizing drinking, okay? I'm hungover as I say this. These are my opinions. These are my fictional opinions. I think it's hot in theory. Real life, different situation. Kind of, but it's fictional. We're talking about fiction, okay? In theory, it's hot, okay? So, if you give Shane a loved gift, he says, "Oh wow, player, how do you know this is my favourite?" How did I know, babes? How did I know? It's not like it's burned into my brain forever. I could bonk my head tomorrow and lose all of my memories and I would forget all of my friends and family and my own name and I would still be able to tell you beer, pizza, hot pepper, pepper poppers. In case you don't know, every character in Stardew Valley has gifting dialogue, aka they'll respond to you giving them a gift with a line of dialogue that like hints at how much they like the gift. Sometimes it's specific to a character, sometimes it's kind of generic. And here we run into the same problem as we did with the festival dialogue, in that this dialogue is static. Shane could tell you in the game to go away, and then you hand him some pepper poppers, and then he's grinning at you like your best friends. This one also kind of makes sense from a gameplay point of view. It would be so unfair to the player to give him a nice present that he likes, and for him to just be like, go away, leave me alone. That feels unfair. But this knowledge can live at the same time as our analysis, right? He's not real, but he's also the realest shit I've ever seen. So I'm going to treat it the same way as I did the festival dialogue, a little microclimate, a little character study existing outside of the context of your relationship with him. So if we go back to this love dialogue, that's interesting, right? How did you know? Surprised that someone knows something about him. And he gives you this smile. That smile. That damn smile. Giving him a liked or loved gift might be the first time you ever see this man smile. Tell me that you see this smile and you don't fall in love with him. Tell me. You can't. I know that you're trying to tell me right now that you don't fall in love with him, but it doesn't get back to me. I know you're screaming at your screens, Fiona! I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So let's move on to likes. He likes all universal likes, except pickles, which we'll cover in a second. And the universal likes aren't super interesting. I'm sorry if you can't read this one. I would reprint it, but honestly, I'm kind of coming to the end of my rope in terms of the paper crafts. Just sack it. Look on the wiki. So the universal likes are basically anything that has value, anything that would be kind of pleasant to receive. Most things that you've grown or cooked or made. Most things you can find in the mines, like minerals and gems. Our boy Shane also likes eggs, because of course he does. My chicken boy. And all fruit, except hot pepper, which he loves. That's a green flag. Good sign. You give this boy one of his 5 a day, he will be grateful. Let me take care of you, baby girl. If you give him a liked gift, he says, "This is great. Thanks." Which is pretty generic. I don't know if there's a ton that we can read into this. Alex's liked dialogue is, "This is cool. Thanks." You know, everyone's liked dialogue is some variation of thanks and I like this or this is nice. But we can say that, you know, man knows a nice present when he sees one. So if we look at his neutrals, they're pretty standard too. All the universal neutrals, which is just random stuff from the previous categories that would be pretty weird to receive. You know, I said that most people like things that you grow on the farm. Most people are also neutral to hops because you can't just eat hops, right? You can't just eat hops. I don't think you can. So that's a weird present. Books are also a universal neutral, which I think is kind of funny because that's something you would actually give to someone in real life, is a book. He's also neutral to all milk, which I think is fair. He likes eggs. He's kind of about milk. He's more of a chicken guy than a cow guy. I can get with that. His thing isn't frozen pizza and milk, is it? No. Frozen pizza and eggs. He's also, as of 1.6, neutral to strange bun, which makes sense because at 7 hearts he sends you the recipe for strange bun, but we will get there when we get to 7 hearts. If you give him something he's neutral about, he will say, "Oh, you got me something? Thanks." Again, it's a little generic, but he's surprisingly unmean about the gifts, right? If you give him something he's about, he could just be like, "Thanks." And that would be fine, even within the context of it being gift dialogue. Even Maru just goes, "Thanks," at a neutral gift. But he's like, "Thanks," with an exclamation point. And he says it's because you got him something. So again, like the previous two, it's he's surprised that you remembered him. He's surprised that you noticed him. People don't get him things a lot. But you did. Thanks. If we move on to dislikes, he dislikes all universal dislikes, which includes things like building materials, fertilizer, fish, resources, basically any item in the game that exists to be used for something or is fish. It's common sense kind of stuff that you just wouldn't want as a gift. If someone gives you bread, you're going to be neutral about it. If somebody gives you part of a fence, you're not going to like that, are you? Well, I don't know you, but probably. He also dislikes chanterelle, common mushroom, daffodil, dandelion, ginger, hazelnut, holly, leek, magma cap, morel, purple mushroom, seaweed, snow yam, wild horseradish, and winter root. So this isn't uncommon. I used to have kind of a running joke about how everyone seems to hate holly. A lot of characters dislike or hate the forageables, aka things that you just find on the ground. But if we follow that thread that we were weaving about how he's surprised and kind of delighted that you remembered him and got him something that he doesn't hate, if you give him one of these things, he would know, you found that on the ground. It's like showing up to someone's birthday party and giving them something you bought at the petrol station on the way to the party. He senses the lack of effort. Do better. So his dialogue when he gets a disliked gift is, "I don't really like this." But that's kind of helpful, right? If you play without the wiki, which you're meant to, which I don't do, and you probably don't do, but if you did, you're just handing shit to people to try and figure out what they like and don't like. And you're learning through trial and error based on their reaction. When Maru gets a disliked gift, she says, "Oh, that's for me? I'll just put it over here." And Sam says, "This is interesting." So it's these people are trying to spare your feelings. They're not trying to seem ungrateful. For Shane to say, "I don't like this," now you know he doesn't like this. You can do better. It's quite helpful how blunt he is. I think that's the thing here. He's very straightforward, We can apply this to his zero hearts dialogue as well. How he tells you to go away, that he wants to be alone. He just says exactly what he means.
I mean, who says exactly what they're thinking? What kind of game is that?
And this brings us to theory number 2. Theory number 2. I'm jealous of him because I want to be mean too. Now, don't misunderstand me, okay? Let me explain. I'm a nice person. This way that I come across, this kind of cheerful energy. I saw someone describe me as warm, which I really liked. That is who I am, right? I'm not a good actor. It's not like I'm pretending. But you know, we contain multitudes. If you know, you know. You probably know that I'm not like this all the time. I've got depression, man. I get sad. I can be really annoying. I'm mentally ill. And there's this part of me that wishes I could just be like Shane. Someone tries to talk to me, I can just go away. Jehovah's Witnesses came to my door a few months ago, and I did not, and I do not have any interest in what they have to say. But I took the leaflet, I spoke to them, I told them they could come back to see if I had actually read the leaflet. When all I wanted to do the whole time was just be like, fuck off. Leave me alone. And here he is, just saying what he wants out loud. Not only does he know what it is that he wants, but he has the fucking balls and the ability to be like, go away. I was socialised as a girl in Britain, where we are so polite. I'm constantly analysing people's tones of voice and facial expressions to be like, do you hate me? Do you hate me? Am I doing okay? Should I be doing something different? Is this approach working? How can I change myself in this moment to appeal to you? Maybe part of that is the neurodivergence, but like, so often in life, you just have to hold back how you really feel. Or you hold it back because it's easier. Or you hold it back because you feel like you have to, even if you don't. I'm so jealous of this man being able to just walk around and be like, go away. I want to be alone. Because he wants you to go away. Because he wants to be alone. And then he just continues on with his day. Presumably he doesn't hyperanalyze that exchange in his head for a year or longer. The freedom. The freedom. As I get older, I do care less what other people think, but I still care a lot. So I'm jealous. This is one of those theories that's more like, I want to be him instead of be with him. So obviously I do want that as well. And it's refreshing to hear too. Just honesty. I'm sure a lot of other people in Pelican Town wanted to tell you to go away when you introduced yourself to them out of the blue, but they covered it up with politeness. I'd rather have meanness and one face than politeness and two faces. And what a face it is. So finally we get to his hates, and he hates all of the universal hates, except for seaweed, which he dislikes, and strange bun, which, as we said, he's neutral to. So this is stuff that's not only super random, but also kind of gross. Fish bait, monster loot, so like bug meat, algae, a snail, shit that's literally poisonous, and trash. So if you give Shane a hated gift, he says, why are you giving me your garbage? And once again, that's very straightforward because it could be literally garbage that you're handing to him. You're treating this man like a bin. Only he is allowed to treat him like a bin, okay? I think this is further reinforced by the fact that in 1.07, his hated dialogue used to be, what is it? And that's a lot less straightforward, right? That's a little ambiguous. So at some point between 1.07 and 1.5, it was changed so that he's more in line with this interpretation of him that we have to be more straightforward. He also hates quartz, and I don't really know why he would hate it. To me, it seems like it's probably just a balancing thing. Quartz is pretty common to find in the mines, so if everyone liked it, you would just give it out all the time. So some people have to hate it, you know. I asked this on my Discord, and I had some people say that quartz, as it exists in our world, has like positive energy or something. And I'm not trying to knock the crystal girlies. I just don't think that he would believe that, right? So I don't think that he would therefore hate it. Maybe Emily keeps trying to give him quartz to like bring positivity into his life, and now he hates it. Maybe. I don't know. If you have another theory, leave it in the comments about why he hates quartz. But he also hates pickles. And this hurts me. Pickles are great. I love pickles. I don't get it. Look at this man and tell me he's not a pickle guy. Pickles and beer is the ultimate combination, to the point where my husband once ordered a pickle beer. And I tried it, and it was good. But we all have our flaws. You know, I'm one of those people that can't eat coriander. Sam from Stardew Valley doesn't like mayonnaise. I used to know a guy who didn't like chocolate, so I'm willing to overlook this. It just means when he gets a pickle on the side of his plate, he can give it to me. I'll eat your pickle. Okay, we're moving on from this now, but just in case you need it as a reference, there you go. I'll get out of the way. Take a screenshot. Okay. So, that's all of his likes and dislikes. But every character has a birthday, and if you give them a gift on their birthday, it's worth 8 times as many friendship points. It also gives unique dialogue, so we have more to cover. According to the Wayback Machine and the Stardew Wiki, in 1.07, Shane only had one thing he would say to a birthday present, no matter how much he liked it. And that was, "You remembered my birthday? I'm impressed. Thanks." And this was quite generic dialogue, to the point where, in 1.07, Sebastian said the exact same thing. Up until version 1.6, Shane and Sebastian's birthday dialogue was actually exactly the same. For a loved or liked gift, they would either say the previous line, or they would say, "Oh, is it my birthday today? I guess it is. Thanks. This is nice." For neutral, they'd say, "For my birthday? Thanks." And for disliked or hated, they would say, "It's my birthday and you give me this? Is this some kind of joke?" But a lot of the dialogue was updated in version 1.6, so now Sebastian says none of this. And Shane has new dialogue for liked and loved gifts. And it makes me want to cry. For liked, he says, "Oh, is it my birthday? That's right. I almost forgot. Thanks." And for loved, he says, "Oh, is it my birthday? I was hoping I'd forget. This is actually really nice though. Thank you." How did I know that this man hates his birthday? I wrote it into a fanfiction that this man hates his birthday. Actually, I wrote it into 2 fanfictions that this man hates his birthday. But it makes sense, right? Depressed, hates his life. Birthdays are kind of just like, congrats for being alive. Congrats for making it another year. But he's out here being like, I hate being alive. I hate that I made it another year. He was hoping he would forget. Hoping that time would just pass by without him noticing. As people, we do all these things to mark the passage of time. Christmas, New Year's, birthdays. We actively try to make memories, reasons to get together and make it easier to delineate the passage of time. And they do it in Stardew too. The Midnight Jellies is all about saying goodbye to summer and welcoming in autumn. But Shane is like, I was hoping I'd forget. I was hoping time would just pass without me noticing. Who hurt you? It's especially interesting how he seems so engaged in the jellies, when, as I said, pretty much its only purpose is to mark time passing. It's this dichotomy that so many of us have, that when something is to do with us, we hate it. But when it's not, it's cool. A thing that happens once a year. His birthday sucks because it's about him, but the jellies are amazing. I think it shows that this almost resentment he has of his birthday is a depression thing. It's not innate to him. It's a symptom. He probably wasn't always this way, but at some point in his life, a yearly reminder of his own existence and mortality and lack of control over the passage of time just became negative, something he wanted to forget. I think it's interesting as well the difference between the liked and loved dialogue there. For liked, he says, I almost forgot. For loved, he says, I was hoping I'd forget. So the loved dialogue is more honest, more vulnerable. With the liked dialogue, that's right, I almost forgot, very much hints that he was trying to forget, but he's still kind of keeping a shell around things. Like, I said he was straightforward, and he is, but that doesn't mean that he's out here just telling you every thought he has in his head. He's straightforward, he's blunt, but he is actively pushing you away. It's not like he's telling you, go away, and he doesn't think that that's going to hurt your feelings. He doesn't think that it's rude. He knows that it is. That's what he's relying on. We see this with some of his Two Hearts dialogue, where he says, haven't I been rude enough to you yet? There's control to it. His intention is to be rude. So it's not like he's telling you, go away, but inside he's secretly like, no, please come back. It's not like he's telling you to go away because he doesn't understand that that's rude. He's telling you to go away because it's rude, because he wants to be alone. He understands how he comes across. It's not just that he's like lacking social awareness. And this leads us quite well into a discussion of his age. So, in Stardew Valley version 1.3.27, which released in 2018, the ability to find secret notes was added. One of these notes is a note that I refer to as the older bachelor's note. I honestly don't know if other people call it that, that's just what I've been calling it. And it reads, "It's a page from someone's diary. There are only a few older bachelors in town, and none of them are perfect. Harvey is really anxious and weak, but I know he would make a loyal and devoted husband. He likes coffee and pickles. Elliot is a bit foppish and melodramatic, but he does have a nice chin. He likes crab cakes and pomegranates. Shane is messy and antisocial, but I think his gruff exterior is a defense mechanism, insulating his softness from the world. He likes beer, pizza, and pepper poppers." I don't know when else I'm going to get a chance to show you, but when I got this shirt and also my Shane hat and mug, I also got some pens. And on this one, I got what it says on the older bachelor's note, along with him laying on the ground. And then this one is just original Shane. And it says, "What was I made for?" It was like £1 each. How could I not make Shane pens? To find the older bachelor's note, you will have needed to see the Winter Mystery Quest, which gives you the magnifying glass that you use to read the notes. And the Winter Mystery Quest happens in winter. So at that point, you will have played a not insignificant amount of Stardew Valley, seeing as the game starts you off in spring. And this note is secret note number 7. So you also will have found 6 other secret notes by the time you get to this one. So players will be roughly at the end of their first year or start of their second year of gameplay when they find this note. And when you're seeing it for the first time, it's probably your first playthrough. So you're not like rushing through the game. You know, like in real life, you will have been playing the game for a good chunk of time before this note is shown to you. And I like that. Because if you were dropped into this game and the game was immediately like, hey, you know that guy who's really mean? He's actually a big softie. That spoils it for you. Instantly, there's less tension there. There's less intrigue. I mean, he's a pretty typical tsundere, but still. Because sure, it's Stardew Valley, he's probably going to end up being nice to you. But you got to play hard to get a little bit, you know? The thrill of the chase. But this connects to what we were just saying about the gruff exterior as a defense mechanism. The rudeness, it's deliberate. It's like armor. It's got a knockback effect, you know? You come at him, you're trying to say hi, and then it's like, psh, you get hit with the go away. Ow. So yeah, according to this note, he is an older bachelor. As I've discussed in literally every other deep dive video, we don't know fuck all about these people's ages. Older bachelor could mean that he's above 30, could mean he's above 20, could mean that he's 50. I don't know. I've seen some people in my comments say that they get younger vibes from Shane because he works at the supermarket and it gives like first job energy. And of course, you're welcome to your interpretation. I should repeat that. It doesn't seem like you are from the tone that I tend to strike, but you are welcome to your own interpretation. My interpretation is that he's older, so let me defend this opinion. So number 1, he's described in-game as an older bachelor. What does that mean? A bachelor is an unmarried man. If we look at the US census data, yes, I am insane, for the median age of marriage, we can see that for men, the median age of marriage is around 30. Specifically, the secret notes were added in version 1.3.27, which came out in 2018. And in 2018, the median age was just under 30. I think it's interesting that the game separates the older bachelors instead of the younger bachelors. It implies that there's bachelors and then there's older bachelors. As in, these 3 guys are older than you would expect to still be bachelors, which to me strongly implies that they are at least 30. We can pretty much definitely say that Harvey's over 30. And in Elliot's video, I think I said he's like 28, but I've changed my mind. He gives such adult vibes. There's a man in his 30s, if not 40s. I would say Harvey goes up to 40s. I read a fanfiction recently actually where Shane was in his 40s and it changed me. It changed me. Number 2, Shane has Jazz. We'll get into this more when we talk about his backstory next video, but as we've mentioned, Jazz is his goddaughter. And that doesn't mean that he has to be old enough to be her dad. He could be 20 and have an 8-year-old goddaughter. You could probably be 20 and have a 15-year-old goddaughter for all I know, you know? But it implies that the person who made him the godfather thought he was old enough to be responsible for her. Number 3, he hasn't always lived in Pelican Town. Again, we'll get more into this when we get to the backstory, but Marnie says he's only been living here for a few months, so he was somewhere else. He has a whole chunk of his life that I will just never know anything about, and that's fine. That's fine with me, clearly. Number 4, I just feel like it, okay? I just want it. To me, this guy is at least 30. I regularly write him as like 33, 35. In the fanfiction I'm writing right now, he's 37. I give him grey hairs. I give him wrinkles. I love it. Why? Because I'm 27. I'm starting to get grey hairs. I'm starting to get wrinkles. I don't know if you can see them. I got like 5. There's one back here somewhere. You get grey hairs way earlier than I thought you did. I got my first one at 26. I am super young. I know that. Don't get me wrong. Every time I talk about like, oh, being in your 30s is being like older, I get comments from people being like, I'm in my 30s. You don't even know. It's like, okay. I am 27. I'm sure you were like this at 27. It's just that I'm starting to understand that the passage of time is a thing. Aging isn't just something that other people do, like I always assumed. I am going to do that, and then I will die. R.I.P. F's in the chat, please. Oh, bah. But this guy, my favourite Pookie, being an older bachelor, it comforts me. Theory number 3, age. There's this societal thing with the age of 30, right? 30 under 30. But all the people I know who are in their 30s are like, yeah, you just keep going. Like normal. My cousin said to me that turning 27 is more of a big deal than turning 30. Because when you turn 30, you've like spent years thinking about it. You know that it's coming up. You've like come to terms with it and realizing, you know, it's not a big deal. But when you turn 27, you're like, fuck, it's coming. And as a 27-year-old, I agreed with that very much. So when I write this man being in his 30s, just being a normal dude, still hot as hell, still messy, it comforts me. It helps my brain process that you can be in your 30s and still just be the same version of yourself. Life just keeps going. You don't have to start wearing suits every day or something. Part of this is his job. He's a shelf stocker. He stocks the shelves at Jojo Mart. Like I said, it gives first job energy, and I say that partly because that was my first job, stocking the shelves at Tesco. I also hated it, so relatable king. But that's kind of reductive. No, these kind of jobs don't just exist for someone to work there for a few months and then go and do something else. Sure, a lot of people do that, but a lot of people don't. And Shane's one of them. He's not got what your parents would call a proper job. He doesn't have his shit together. And I like that. He's in his 30s and he's not got it all figured out. And I like that. It makes me feel like I don't have to have it all figured out. When I was unemployed for like 8 months between 2023 and 2024, I was applying for games industry jobs and also office jobs and also jobs in supermarkets. And no supermarket hired me because I was overqualified, which was really annoying. But I only started applying for those kind of jobs once I got really desperate, because there's this idea in my head of like career progression. I worked a bunch of retail jobs in my teens and my early 20s. And in my mind, when I got my first office job, it was like, okay, well, I'm done with that now. Now just office jobs forever. So to apply for Tesco again made me feel like I was backsliding. But seeing this guy work this job reminds me that, no, that's not real. That's just a bunch of stuff I made up in my head. A job is a job. A job in a supermarket is a hell of a lot more crucial than a job working on a mobile game. I'm pretty sure we learned that from COVID. And he doesn't seem ashamed of it. He hates it, sure, but he never says anything like, I'm too old to be doing this. Because he's not. Because that's just something dumb I've made up in my head. So I love my 35-year-old king and his supermarket job that he hates. It helps me undo all of these things I have in my head about age and career elitism. So you can think he's however old you want. Personally, I always write him from 30 to 40. All right, cool. Let's take a look at this 35-year-old man's bedroom. So Shane's bedroom is in his Aunt Marnie's house. And at 4 hearts, he'll tell you, I'm renting my room for Marnie at a really good price. It's small, but I can't complain. I looked at all of the bedrooms of the other romanceables, and just from eyeballing it, the only person with a room smaller than Shane's is Penny. And Penny lives in a trailer, so it kind of makes sense that her room would be small. Shane is a 35-year-old man sleeping on a single bed. His back, his poor back. My poor back, I'm sitting on the floor. He says it's small, but he can't complain. But like, you can complain, babes. But we'll come back to that. That's a 4 hearts line. Doesn't count as info dumping, okay? If we take a look at Shane's bedroom in the newest version of Stardew Valley, we can see that he is a messy boy. There's these muddy footprints, there's a can on the floor that's tipped over, a shirt slung onto his chair, some rubbish on his floor, which is presumably the rings of some beer. And he's got this football, which the majority of my audience would call a soccer ball. And we're not going to get into that. And if you click on it, it says, it doesn't look used. Maybe it's a collector's ball. And the maybe there means that we don't know whether it is a collector's ball or whether he just doesn't use it because he never goes outside and he never does any exercise. Relatable. Way back in my Alex video, which was over a year ago now, I found this confusing. His room inside the house is also just workout equipment and a grid ball and also a football. And now I'm confused about what grid ball is because Shane as a character is also into grid ball and he also has a football in his room, and he specifically doesn't have this kind of ball in his room. So is it American football? Is it regular football? I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Roman Empire. And look, I wrote a bunch about this, okay? To go here. I launched an investigation. I tweeted someone a question. I interacted with another human being. I didn't want to, but for the sake of the investigation. But I ended up with what is basically an entire video's worth of content about like, what is Gridball? And so I'm not going to sully the Shane video with all of that, okay? It's barely about him. This is Shane's time to shine. I'm going to make a separate video about that, and I'll put it out probably between this video and the next one. Just to tide you over, okay? Just a little nugget. Just a little nugget to tide you over. But for now, is this a grid ball? Who cares? Probably, but who cares? I don't know. We'll figure it out together. So, he's got a TV as well, and a games console. And the game tells us it's a mega station. There's a game in it, but it's routed through a Code Sultan XL. Looks like someone's been cheating. He's such a bad boy. So this very strongly makes me think of old cheating devices that people would use with games consoles, like physical products you could buy, specifically because it says the game is in the machine, but it's been routed through the Code Sultan XL. It makes me think of the Game Genie, which looked like this. This is something you could buy for your NES so that you could cheat. Basically, it would modify the code of a game like a cheat code would. So it could do stuff like make you invincible, help you skip levels, as well as random stuff like moonwalking. And it came with a big book of code to input, so it's not like you needed to know how to code to use it. So you would plug the game cartridge into the Game Genie and then put it in the console, thereby routing the game through the Game Genie. So I figured this is probably where the inspiration for the Code Sultan XL came from. So I was trying to find out how many units of the Game Genie were sold, and the number that kept coming up was 5 million, but everywhere that referenced that number used the same link, and it was just a dead Wayback Machine link. So I can't confirm that number, but I think we're safe to say that it was a lot. So if our boy is using this to cheat, it's not like he's going on, you know, the black market or like the dark web in order to find it. In the UK, at least, you could just buy the Game Genie from like toy shops. It was a pretty mainstream product. And I think this is kind of cute, honestly. Maybe biased. I may be biased. When I was a kid, I had a folder full of printed out cheat codes for games like Simpsons Hit and Run. And he's still doing that shit as an adult. I think that that's cute. He's not got that much free time. He works full time. God knows it takes too long to finish games these days. Let him cheat. Let him type motherload into The Sims. It's basically the equivalent of me using Smappy to get my Stardew Valley character to run faster. Because I'm so impatient. She goes so slow. Oh my gosh, she's so slow. This is unbearable. I don't know if I can do it. She's so slow. So next up in our MTV Cribs tour of Shane's room, we have his radio. And it says, looks like he's using the radio as an alarm clock. Great. Don't know what to say about that really. Pretty classic. This game gives such 90s vibes. It's so nostalgic. Shane, confirmed millennial. And next to his bed, we have an open book. And the book is called How to Raise Chickens. And I love this. He is my chicken boy, okay? He is my chicken boy. We'll get into his relationship with chickens at a later date. We will get into it, but I love this. He reads. That's a green flag. I read half a book last year. So those are all of the interactive items, aka the ones that will give you a little sentence if you click on them. In terms of what we can just observe, we can see a little picture of a chicken above his bed. Very cute. This is probably Charlie. We'll talk about Charlie at a later time, but if you know, you know. Oh, the sunset is so nice. I'm gonna put in a picture of the sunset because it looks so nice. Beautiful. Look forward to that. There's a little stool. There's a shirt. This is probably meant to be his work shirt or something. And these things in the top left are beer cans. And we know that because if we look at his 2 heart scene where he's drinking beer, the cans are grey. So that's everything in his room. If we go out into the kitchen, there's a microwave pizza in the microwave. And the bin is full of empty pizza cartons, which I assume is meant to be Shane's work because out of the people who live there, he's the only one who loves pizza. Okay, brief tangent here. None of these are really tangents because we are talking about Shane and Stardew Valley still. But tangent meaning I'm going to talk about something that probably no one else cares about and that I did spend too long on. So you have to hear about it. So this is a section I'm calling the Messy Footprints Investigation. Once again, nobody cares about this, except for me. Now, we haven't discussed these messy footprints on his floor. Not much to say about them, right? If you know anything about Shane, you will know that muddy footprints are ubiquitous when you talk about Shane. Personally, I find the discussions of but how did he get them only in his room? Why aren't they tracked in all the way from the outside? Kind of boring. I find it hard to care. I think it's because either Concerned8 wasn't able to have them come in from the outside, or he didn't want to. But either way, I think it's just to show Shane as messy, right? That's their purpose. And Shane's messy room is infamous. We're not going to talk about his spouse room until, the video where we marry him, because that's a whole can of worms, right? But basically, when you marry him, his spouse room has these muddy little footprints. And at some point on my Discord server, people were talking about this. And I was involved because, of course I was, that's my man. And someone said that his room at Marnie's house starts off messy. And then when you get to 10 hearts with him, he cleans it up. And then when he lives with you, when he's your spouse, it's messy again. So it's like he's regressing. Messy in these instances pretty much just refers to the muddy footprints. I don't think anyone has an issue with him having clothes on the floor. Yeah, people have such an issue with these muddy footprints. This is preemptive. Like I said, we're going to get to it. But look, out of 2,000 responses, 32.3% of people said they won't marry Shane because of his spouse room. And 33.9% of people said they don't like it. It's infamous. Anyway, so this idea that his room starts off messy, gets clean, and then gets messy again, intrigued me. This was something I hadn't heard before. And this is how I made note of it at the time. He cleans up his room at 10 hearts, but then regresses? Needs investigating. Concerning, looking into it. So this is not a great source, but it's kind of intriguing, no? The rumour mill churns. I want to know. There's a piece of information about Shane out there that I don't know. Something to do with his arc? So when making this video, I investigated this. I had to get to the bottom of it to see if it was true. So let me talk you briefly through a small timeline. Let me lay out my investigation. So these are our sources. December 2023/January 2024. This is when I did the Fiona playthrough. This is where the majority of my gameplay footage comes from, the footage that you've seen in most of my videos. That playthrough where fewer and fewer people show up to my wedding, and that was in version 1.5. January 2025, my 1.6 playthrough. This was me going back and getting some better footage, mostly of Shane. Also January 2025, my 1.07 playthrough, when I downloaded the early version of the game to get some more footage. Again, for Shane.
Oh, there he is.
There he is, there he is. Oh, he's a good boy. I've forgotten where the camera was now. So here we have 3 different game versions. 3 different versions of his room. 3 lots of footage. And here is the timeline that we're trying to verify. 0 hearts to 8 hearts with Shane, messy room. 10 hearts, clean room. Married, messy room. If we look at his room in version 1.07, it's clean. This footage was taken at 4 hearts. So in this timeline, if it was messy and then became clean at 10 hearts, it would still be messy at this point, but it's clean. But this doesn't really help that much because he was non-romanceable at this point. So it makes sense that that wouldn't be part of his arc. Okay, I had to adjust my chair because of the lighting. And also I didn't want to sit on the floor anymore. And I got a snack, Baby Bell. So in my Fiona footage from version 1.5, I have a file titled Shane Room, in which I just film myself running around his room, clicking on things. His room is clean, but this file doesn't tell me what hearts I am with him, so I figured this out by looking at the date of recording. Shane Room was recorded on the 13th of January, 2024. Shane Wedding was recorded on the 15th of January. Shane 10 Heart Event was recorded on the 19th of December, 2023, which means that when Shane Room was recorded, I must have been at 10 Hearts with him. Okay, so the room is clean at 10 Hearts. We know this, but did it used to be messy? So I looked at all my other Shane footage. There's a lot. I have a lot of Shane footage. So if I open the file Shane Bouquet, where I give him the bouquet and he accepts the bouquet, meaning I must have had 8 hearts with him and not 10, the room is clean. So in version 1.5, at 8 hearts, his room is clean. I also recorded some random pieces of his dialogue and I titled it Shane Mean Dialogue 5 on the 22nd of January 2024, meaning it was still version 1.5. This was a different playthrough, different Fiona, and he was being mean to me, so it must have been pretty low hearts. And his room is clean. But if we go to version 1.6, his room is dirty. I made a whole new save file just to spam him with beer to see if it changes. Here is his room at 0 hearts. Dirty. Here is his room at 10 hearts, but I haven't seen all of his heart events. Dirty. Here is his room at 10 hearts, and I have seen all of his heart events. Dirty. So, as far as I can conclude, his room does not change, which makes sense. Rooms don't really change in this game. Abigail can't even bring her hamster with you when she moves in with you. She has to get a whole new one because her room can't change. So I figure it's a 1.6 thing. Concerned Ape figured, hey, his married room is messy, his regular room isn't messy, that doesn't make sense. Why would he start being messy? So he added the mess to Shane's room at Marnie's house too. In terms of the version history, the best reference I can see to the rooms being changed is graphical improvements to building interiors, which is so vague. And it kind of sucks because loads of bedrooms changed with 1.6. Sebastian's bedroom changes within my Sebastian video. So why not just write bedrooms changed? I guess graphical improvements to building interiors applies. I don't know. But Eric, you would have made my job a whole lot easier if you'd just written Shane's room has footprints now. So, as far as I can tell, I spent hours on this. I'm not downloading any other old versions of the game. It's really complicated. It was really hard. I don't know if I could do it again. As far as I can tell, his room doesn't get clean at 10 hearts and then messy again when you're married. His room at Marnie's house was always clean up until version 1.6. And then after version 1.6, it's always messy to match the spouse room. Thank you. Good night. So now we've got a whole bunch of sections talking about what this man looks like. And I just want to quickly get us on the same page about all of his looks.
Oh, you have so many looks.
Shane Eras Tour. So we have regular Shane, vanilla Shane, you could call him. I can't believe I didn't write anything in the script being like talking about just what I think about it. I love him. He's hot. Look at my shirt. I love him. He's got a great face. He's got a great face. Don't look at me. He's looking at me from the screen. He's looking at me. Okay, I love him. So the only other original variation we had of Shane was when he's at work, in this fit. And look at him from the side. Eric, that's not how hats work. Why does it look like that? Awful. We also have Wedding Shane and Flower Dance Shane, since he became romanceable. We only see Flower Dance Shane from the back, since that's his positioning during the dance. If you can see her from the front, wait till you see her from the back. But hate to see him go, love to watch him leave. I love cheese. So when Ginger Island was introduced in version 1.5, everyone got beach portraits. And these are Shane's. And you'll hear my opinion about his beach portrait in a little while. I filmed these sections out of order. So it's coming up from where you're standing. But I love it, okay? I do. I love it. I'm pretty sure I call him objectively hot for like the 15th time in this video. And then in version 1.6, everyone got winter portraits. And this is his. Again, we're going to cover this in just a second. But I love it so much. There he is. He's right at the top. Can I get a little commotion for the jeans? The stains on his jacket are also really funny. Concerned was like, yeah, okay, he can look hot, but don't forget, he's still a slob. Maybe you thought I would forget? Something like that? No. always on my mind. Don't need to remind me. Then in version 1.6.9, which came out in November 2024, we got the Joja work portraits. And Shane's is so good. I'm so relieved because Sam's is awful. Where is he? He's on here somewhere. Oh, he's down here. There he is. The jumper. Truly, I take back every negative thing I have ever said about Mr. Eric Concerned Ape. Thank you for this. So this is meant to match his work sprite, because before, if you gave him a gift at work, it would just come up with his regular portrait when he said like thank you, which would like break immersion because you'd be looking at him and he'd be wearing his Joja outfit, but then he's wearing his regular outfit. Doesn't make any sense. So now he matches. Love it. I think those are all of his looks.
He had so many looks.
We're going to see the official art of him very soon, by which I mean the art in like the official Stardew Valley spin-offs, like the cookbook and the guidebook. But for now, screw the official art. We're going to pivot to fan art. So I'm adding this part in as kind of a late minute addition to the script because I have only recently really gotten into Shane fan art. I've been avoiding it for multiple reasons. Things I've brought up already. You know how like if someone has a different interpretation of him, it causes this like cognitive dissonance in me for a second. And then if they don't, if it fits with my interpretation, then it makes me kick my feet. It makes me blush. And it still does, that still happens, but now I'm kind of leaning into it, okay? Now I'm leaning into it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put some pictures up in the green screen with some of my favorite Shanes. Nicole Knives just owns me at this point, okay? Thank you. I wrote in my script, why am I kicking my feet even pasting these into the document? I'm sure I will be kicking my feet while editing this video as well. I'm blushing. I'm editing pictures of Shane and I'm blushing. What's wrong with me? Also important, I made a new Tumblr just so I could keep track of all of my favourite Shanes. So if you want to just see pictures of Shane, you can follow me at fionasangster.tumblr.com. Literally just pictures of Shane. I'm not joking. Nothing else. No self-promotion. Shane. Shane's all the way down. Anyway, there are lots of different variations of Shane out there. You can interpret him however you want. This is mine. This is my mental image. I just needed to show you, okay? So that you understand that he's like fit. He's serving brows. Definitely was 2016 because he's serving brows. Do you want to see something funny? While we're talking about fan art, do you want to see something funny? Yes, you do. I am notoriously bad at drawing. Did you see the pictures I drew when we were talking about the festivals? Bad. So like as a joke, I tried to draw Shane just to see what it would look like. I tried to draw him from his portrait and this is what I got. Why do I feel like he belongs on Family Guy? I posted this on my Discord server in my Shane Central channel, which is my channel where we just talk about Shane. And I said roast him, and here are some of the responses. He looks like he's simultaneously mewing and holding a frog in his mouth. He looks like you just told him something so fucking weird, he's literally speechless. The bitmoji your grandpa uses on Facebook to announce the death of a beloved family member. He looks like a middle-aged, depressed man with 3 kids who don't want to talk to him. Flynn Rider Smolder image. He looks like you've just told him about all the fan fiction you wrote about him and he's feeling all the feels about it. And Sam, I sent it to Sam, he just said, emoji ass motherfucker. That's funny. Anyway, feel free to roast him in the comments. I know I'm bad at drawing, like I think it's funny. Should I sell merch with my drawing of Shane on it? Would you buy that? Let me know. I just brushed my teeth. I forgot I was going to do this. That's good. I like one beer in the wild and it's this beer. Not sponsored. Double fisting. It's really hitting the spot. I don't know what it is. Usually even when I drink this beer that I do like, it's like reluctant. It's like, oh, it's fine. But it's really doing it for me. Maybe it's the cosplay. Bah, am I right? Okay. Now we are on the subject of his clothing, and we have to start out with the most burning question of all. This is one of the first parts of this script that I wrote because, quote, I just have to get it out. It just poured out of me. So, welcome to the Jersey Polo debate. Look, I'm calling it the Jersey Polo debate like it's some kind of established thing, but I didn't get this from anywhere. I don't know if anyone else cares about this. I just have to get it out. I have been writing in fanfiction for about a year and a half now that this man is wearing a grid ball jersey, specifically an old tunneler's jersey. That is my interpretation because he tells you when you're married that he used to be on a grid ball team. For his 10 heart event, he takes you to a tunneler's game. He's part of Alex's little grid ball club. Man likes grid ball. Also, it just looks like a jersey. It has a number on it. And look at the beach portrait. That looks like a jersey. Some fanfiction would agree with me on this. Some fanfiction would disagree. Some fanfiction would write that he wears a lime green polo shirt. And I read that in the middle of a sex scene. It's like, how am I supposed to just move on from that? How am I supposed to just keep reading and you're not even going to address it? How do you expect me to just move on with my life? Like you haven't just given me psychic damage. So when this happened, I did eventually move on with my life, right? This was about 6 months ago. Eventually, I got over it. I moved on. I was able to, enjoy life again. And one night, I sit down to go through the Stardew Valley guidebook, which I paid good money for, right? It was like £20. I sit down to go through it and I mark all of the Shane references with the pink tabs so that I can easily find them later because obviously I'm going to need them. Personal reference. And what do I find? What I find is this. And you can see my reaction there. It's a polo. A goddamn polo. In the official Stardew Valley guidebook. Do you want me to kill myself? A polo. A goddamn polo. In the official Stardew Valley guidebook. This coming from a book written and illustrated by the self-professed #1 and #2 Shane fans. No. No Shane fan would ever do this. You think this man is wearing a lime green polo? You put that out into the world in the official guidebook and then you sleep at night? No. I won't allow it. So this is the jersey polo debate and I will systematically convince you that I am right. With a lot of the stuff in this video, it's like my interpretation. You can believe what you want. This is just me projecting onto my blorbo. But with this, it's like, no, I'm right. I am right. And I have proof. I am the #1 and #2 Shane fans. I get both titles. Because look how much work I've put into everything. Look at me. I'm drinking beer. Me when they tell me that me when they put Shane in a lime green polo. Cheers. In case you're wondering, yes, I did dye my hair purple for the bit. I just can't see it very well. But it's there. Femme Shane. Anyway, first of all, let's get a sense of how the people feel about this. This is a question that I posed in my Shane questionnaire. What kind of shirt does he wear? 42.3% of people responded that he is wearing a grid ball jersey. Correct. Good job. You may have read at the top of the survey that there are no wrong answers. That was a lie. There are wrong answers because 26.5 people voted polo shirt. 24.5 people said it was something in between the two, so kind of like a hybrid of a polo shirt and a grid ball jersey. I also left an other area where you could write anything else you thought it was, and I regret doing this because so many people just wrote essentially, it's a jersey, or it's a polo, or it's somewhere in between the two, instead of voting on the options that existed. I do appreciate everyone who did the survey. It's just frustrating for me and my data. Don't make me put my dunce hat on. It's my headcanon hat now. Okay? So, 6.7% of people chose to write in their own answer. Out of these, 16 people said it was a cycling shirt. 16 people said it was a swimming shirt. 7 people said it was some kind of exercise shirt. 9 people said it was both a jersey and a polo, which I would argue should have just voted for this one, but okay. And 4 people said it's specifically a Seattle Sounders jersey. And I've never heard of these. What? What's that? I don't know. Right, so this isn't as problematic as I thought it would be. Okay, I'm quite proud of my respondents. Good job, you guys, because most of you got this question right, or kind of half right, arguably. But for all you others out there, let's get into the debate. Let me prove it to you, okay? Quarters in session, we have 2 sides. Team Polo. Team Jersey. And now I'm going to wipe this off the board, and it took me a really long time, so I hope that I don't regret doing that. I made this circle, I just got a plate. Do you want to watch me rub it off? Because I think that'll be quite satisfying. Oh, I didn't need to draw that. I just love a practical effect. You know me. I love a practical effect. And it was fun. Is that in the middle? Not even a little bit. Never mind. You know what we're doing. I don't need a title. The urge to write the date and title on the board is so strong because of school. So our first piece of evidence. On the one side, on the side of polo, we have this picture, as we've already seen, from the guidebook. I like this picture, don't get me wrong. The pain in those eyes, the cute button nose. This is my Discord profile picture. But don't you sit here and tell me that that's not meant to be a polo. Look at it. Let me bring him real close. Look at it. That's meant to be a polo. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't. If I thought it was supposed to be a Gribble shirt, none of this would be an issue. It's the thing that started it all. So, picture from guidebook, Team Polo. Now, also on Team Polo, but leaning a little bit more away from conclusive, we have this picture. This is from the Stardew Valley cookbook, which is another official piece of, world building. I always consider them like canon because Concerned Ape worked on them, but like canon in the way that you can like pick and choose. Like the Bible. So it's still very much giving polo vibes. If you ask anyone, they're probably going to tell you that's a polo, right? And again, don't get me wrong. I love the Shane content. I love the little chicken. I'm very grateful for any new scraps of my man out in the world. Also, I love the confirmation that this man is serving eyebrows. He is on Lee Pace level with these eyebrows. I'm obsessed with the eyebrow of it all. Every other sentence of my fanfiction, it's like his dark brow, it's his strong brow, and it's also the case in other people's fanfictions as well. It's not just me. Next, we have another picture from the guidebook. This is his art in his like About Me section. Once again, giving brow. I don't love this one as much as the other ones because I don't know what it is about this, but it's giving me like elf vibes. He looks like a little elf. And the side part, it feels a little bit egregious. It's not a hate. I don't hate it. It's just not a love for me, Now that I'm looking at it, it's coming. I'm coming around to it actually. What the hell? What are we? Okay, it made me giggle, so I probably do like it. Okay. If we get back to the conversation at hand, we can see that it is giving polo, but it also has a little stripe. Do we see? Are we seeing? Chat, do we see? There. Like his shirt in the game. Here. So we're getting more faithful. We are moving a little bit away from polo now, right? Okay, that's our polo side of the argument. Now we will move on and I will prove that all of these interpretations are incorrect and the people who drew them deserve to be fired and cast into exile and negged. I don't know. First, we have to look at our number one sleep paralysis demon. Baby's first character design. Shane, but if you left him near a fire for too long and he melted. That's right. Original Shane. He's still giving eyebrows. Look at them. The hair makes me want to Harry Hill myself, but he's having brow. Me and Original Shane legitimately have kind of a parasocial relationship now because I printed this out ages ago and he's just been sitting on my desk for like 2 months. And sometimes we'll make eye contact. And now I feel like we have a relationship. Now I feel like we have a camaraderie. I'm kind of fond of him. He feels like an old friend. My ability to project onto this man in general is crazy. This isn't where we're putting him. I'm just putting him down. See, why do I like it? So this, unequivocally, that's not a polo, right? It doesn't have that like folded over collar. It clearly has a number. There's no debate, right? That's a jersey. I'm kind of cosplaying Original Shane, actually, now that I think about it. I couldn't pull off that length hair, though. I don't think I have the cheekbones for it like he does. I'm going to put him here because it's like that is a jersey, but also that's not Shane. So I don't think I actually explained. So Original Shane is the very first iteration of Shane. This is the original drawing of him. There's a whole timeline of different drawings of Shane as he went through development. And next, we have these two fellas on the Shane timeline. These guys are giving like brothers that are way too into sports because their parents are like living vicariously through them. And so they get way too competitive when you're just playing like Duck, Duck, Goose or something. Like they're so good at it. They're so fast. So nobody wants to make them the goose. And they like throw a big strop about it until eventually you let them be the goose. But then they just pick each other over and over again. And then it's not fun for anyone. That's not like a childhood. That didn't happen to me. That's not like a childhood trauma. It's just that's the vibe that they're giving. And I just kind of went with it, you know. Do you see what I see? And we can see here between these two pictures the evolution of the collar. And I think it's quite notable that in this evolution, the shirt didn't change, right? It went from being straight up, that's a jersey, to that's a jersey still, but now it has the collar. And now we land on my man as he is today. Hi, honey. How's your day going? Yeah? No, mine's going alright. I'm just doing some filming. I drank the last beer, sorry. I was really mad at me about that. Oh, I swallowed that wrong. This is what started this whole thing, right? Actual Shane. Some people, 26.5% of my survey respondents, look at this photo and go, lime green polo shirt. And they think that they're not committing a hate crime. I don't know if I can say that. So we can see here some leftovers from his development. There's some vague white thing at the bottom. There's a blue stripe. In the sprite, we can see what looks like a number, but it also could be a pattern. But his beach sprite helps with this enormously. So when the characters go to Ginger Island, they get like a beach variant for their portraits and their sprites. And I will show you Shane's. So this is our man, Sans hoodie. Sans Undertale. Let me just get out my feelings about Beach Shane for a second, okay? Tangent within a tangent. Number one, hot. I'm sorry, objectively hot. The sunglasses, I'm sorry. I'm right, though. Okay. Number two, the cap sleeves. We get that it's short-sleeved, Eric. Do they need to be so short? This is like a women's cut shirt, and I don't even wear shirts like that because the sleeves are too short. It's unflattering to his arms. Number three, the inconsistencies. Look at the portrait. You've got a white number and a blue stripe. And then we look at the sprite and we've got a blue number and a white stripe. Eric, tighten up. But we can see with the beach sprite that it's clearly a number. So I think what happened here is that his sprite is from when he was original Shane or just like early Shane. Because there are a lot of sprite inconsistencies in this game. Sam's shirt is a different colour. Abby has a bow, but like, no, she doesn't. Either way, I think that this is modelled off original Shane because blue number, white stripes, as opposed to white number, blue stripe. And if I'm right, which I think I am, that means that this is modelled off of this, where this was unequivocally, we all agreed, unequivocally, a jersey. Fun fact, when he turns with this sprite, it's just mirrored, so the 2 becomes a 5. Tighten up, Eric! So we're going to take down Canon Shane, because we can't place him here yet, because I haven't fully made my point. So if we return to what 4 people said in the Shane questionnaire, and also what it says on the trivia, on the Stardew Valley wiki, Shane's original shirt appears to be based on a Seattle Sounders soccer jersey. Oh, does it? Does it? I hadn't even noticed. Oh, I didn't even know. The guy who was selling this, it's so strange to be on the men's side of Vinted, which is like a second-hand clothing app. The guy who was selling this, he had about 200 football shirts. And then he was selling 5 Lego Bionicles. Men. Fascinating. I'm like an anthropologist when it comes to men. I'm like, interesting. So it says on the wiki his original shirt, right? So if we compare original Shane to the Seattle Sounders soccer jersey, the stripes are a different colour, but that's the same shirt, right? Come on, she kind of nailed it. She kind of ate that. This is the most accurate one I could find. I couldn't find one with the blue collar and the white stripes. This is the most accurate one I could find. Just me and original Shane. Hey, we're outfit matching. We're like twins. But this is original Shane, right? This isn't current Shane. Who's to say that this shirt and this shirt are meant to be the same? Right. I just think this is helpful background information for us to know as we now look at jerseys that have collars. So I'll put some pictures on the screen. You can have a jersey with kind of an open collar, like this one. Here you've got what is essentially a polo shirt, but it's made of sports material. And then you've got shit like this one, which I think is really cool. This is from an interesting article from GQ that was titled, "It's Time to Bring Back the Giant Soccer Collar." Oh my god, Soccer from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, bring him back. So in this article, the guy argues that soccer as a whole has moved away from collared jerseys and it should move back to them because they look cool. Which I agree with. I think they look cool. So overall, we can conclude that a jersey with a collar is not impossible, right? Those exist. Just look at rugby. Most rugby jerseys have collars. That's what you think of when you think of a rugby shirt, is a shirt with a collar. So just because it has a collar doesn't mean it's not just a jersey. Now we have one final clue. So far, I have not mentioned IRL Shane. By this, I mean a man who I think's actual name is Shane, and who apparently Shane was based off of. Like, what was told to me by multiple people on Discord was that he was or is friends with cont.d, so Shane was, like, based off of him. And now he tweets in, like, blue skies, as if he essentially is Shane from Stardew Valley. And I haven't mentioned this, and I'm not really going to mention it. I know about it, right? In case you're wondering, I do know. That's none of my business, right? It's one thing to be this entrenched with a fictional character. That's one thing. But it's a whole different kettle of fish to be doing something like this with a real person, right? So I'm not going to touch that. That's going to stay far away from me. 10-foot pole is not long enough, okay? IRL Shane, if you do watch this video for some reason, number one, that's kind of narcissistic. Number two, this is not about you, okay? I don't know you. And number three, I am sorry. It's fine, we'll just move on. But we do get one clue here from this poor man. At some point, this guy cosplayed as Shane. We're going to reference this picture. I'm not going to print it out. That feels too far. We're going to put it on the screen. I'm not going to print it and make it real, okay? So look, in this picture, we've got all the pieces that we've discussed. In the bottom left of this picture, we can see the Xbox logo that's been kind of like picked off. And the Xbox logo was on the Seattle Sounders jerseys. So I took a leap. I did something I did not want to do that I was uncomfortable with, and I replied to this blue sky. Are we calling them skeets? I don't know. I replied and I said, "Did you just repurpose a Seattle Sounders jersey?" And he said yes. So we don't have to theorize about that. We have confirmation. Yes. So in his cosplay, you've got the Tunnelers logo, which is another confirmation that this is supposed to be a Tunnelers jersey. And you've got the big number 2, which makes sense because he's not on there right now, but Shane has the number 2. And look at the collar. If we zoom in, I'm sorry for doing this to a random man's picture that he posted on Blue Sky. Truly, I am. I know that it's like public, but still feels weird. Look, if we zoom in, tell me that this man didn't cut open this collar and sew on a bigger collar. That is an aftermarket collar. You can see the jagged fabric. Come on, this is classic cosplay shit. So overall, this tells us that instead of buying a polo shirt and adding things to it to make it look like a jersey, this man, who probably holds the most accurate information that a person can hold about what this shirt would look like in real life, chose to get a jersey and add a collar, meaning it's therefore way closer to a jersey than a polo. Because if it was just a polo, he would just bought a polo instead of a jersey, right? Now, look, a lot of people in the survey said it's both. It's a jersey polo hybrid, like this photo. I didn't print everything out. It's bad for the environment. But look, that's a jersey, sure. Jersey, sure. But look, that's a jersey, sure. But look at the fold over, that kind of V-neck shape to it, where the buttons would go, the little flap. Shane doesn't have that. There's no flap. Personally, I think it would look like this. This man from this listing is judging me so hard. Kind of a V-neck, but with a little collar detail, just for fun. Just for reinforcement or like a little bit of flair. But either way, with all the evidence we've gathered, jersey, right? Right? Come on. That's a jersey. I'm putting him here. I think I've earned that. Have you enjoyed watching my hair get frizzier in real time? It looks so good earlier. So I think I've built a solid case here. I think this would pass in court. If the jersey fits, you must acquit, I think he would be walking. I think I could get him off. I think I could go. I was all ready to hang up my hat and call this a closed case. Take my victory and move on with my life. Oh, just one more thing. On my replay to re-record some footage, I was about to go on my date with Shane, the 10 Heart event. And because I'm insane, I went on my item spawner to try and find a shirt that vaguely looked like his shirt so that it could kind of look like we were supporting the same team. Because that's where I'm at with life right now. So I typed in green shirt to this item spawner, but then I thought, let me see if there are any Tunnelers jerseys. Probably not. But I thought, may as well try. So I typed in Tunnelers. And his shirt just exists in the game. This shirt that he wears all the time, it is labelled Tunnelers jersey. It's a jersey for the Zuzu City Tunnelers. Unequivocal. Right there, in black and yellow. God damn, I'm good. Oh, I forgot a piece of evidence. Don't judge me, I've had one beer. Another case solved. My captain asks me how I keep doing it. And I say, it's power of love. Power of love carries me through. Seen some gnarly shit. Polo shirt, but love carries me through on the darkest days. This goes here. This goes here. So no more of this lime green polo shirt bullshit. Why does this matter? Why did I print all of this out? Why do I care so much about this? Why did I buy a man's shirt? Secondhand. A man's been in it. Disgusting. For fan fiction purposes, when I read a fan fiction saying that this man is wearing a lime green polo shirt, that is not hot. That is not cute. That is not cool. If you're out there and you have a lime green polo shirt that you really like, it's your favourite shirt, I love that for you. I'm not trying to ruin that for you. You and your lime green polo shirt, I hope you have many happy memories together. But personally, for me, in my opinion, if my husband Sam comes home one day wearing a lime green polo shirt, I am throwing it in the bin, or I'm burning it, or if he refuses to let me do either of these things, I'm getting a divorce. The idea of this man wearing a lime green polo shirt every single day makes me begin to conceive of the possibility of getting the ick from him. And that is not a possibility I am willing to entertain. That is unthinkable to me. But when I read in fanfiction that he's wearing a sports jersey, I'm not a sports girly, I think that's probably pretty obvious, but it's got a certain appeal to it. He didn't choose for it to be lime green, right? I didn't choose for it to be lime green. That was the Seattle Sounders. If it's a jersey, at least it shows his interests. At least it's got some personality to it. And it's like low-key hot in like a gender roles kind of way. Men. Men and their sports. I don't know. I'm pretty queer. I'm like very leftist, but you put a man in a sports shirt in front of me. I'm only human. So can we all in unison just say collectively, gridball jersey? Say it with me. I know that you didn't do it the first time. Say it with me. Ready? Gridball jersey. Thank you. Thank you. Should I get a brown bob? That would go so hard. I don't have the bone structure. He doesn't have the bone structure. He doesn't have the bone structure for that bob. No. So while we're on his clothes, let's be super weird about his clothes. We're picking him apart, okay? It's the deepest dive. First, let's go over what we know. Number 1, that is a Tunnelers jersey. Okay? We all agree now. We know it's a fact. Number 2, he is a shorts guy. Look at him. Those are shorts. Look at his beach sprite. More evidence. Those are shorts. Whether they're cargo shorts or they're these like jogger type things, we can't be sure. Either is fine. You get to choose that one, okay? That one's a free space. In version 1.6, as I mentioned, all the characters got winter outfits, and our man was finally allowed to be cozy and warm. Jeans. This was huge to the Shane girlies. I mean, I don't know if it was huge to you. It was huge to me. My man's in jeans, finally. And he's got this winter jacket that matches his little hat. Obsessed, okay? Obsessed. Top tier fit. The only other character who got done even better by the winter outfits was Sam. Now that hair is covered up, entirely different ballgame. That is the protagonist from an independent British movie. That is a character from Love Actually. Come on. So if we go back to Shane, first of all, we have the question of socks. Look at his sprite. Facing. Left. Right. And from the back. Now he's pink. You see that? Pink legs. So is he wearing pink socks? I thought so. However, I had a suspicion that this colour would be the same colour as the shading for his legs here, and so I used a colour picker, and I was right. They are the same colour. So in his original sprite, I don't think we can conclude pink socks. Right, could just be shading. However, if we compare this to the beach sprites, no pink legs. We can see that the shading is still there, but it's not on the parts of his legs that it was before. In the dialogue on the beach, he tells you that he's not wearing any shoes or socks. So personally, this leads me to conclude that he is wearing pink socks. I welcome other interpretations. This is my personal interpretation. I don't live or die based on his socks like I do the jersey. We're just trying to paint a visual picture, okay? Now the shoes. I don't know what it is, but so many fanfictions and so much fan art seems to depict him wearing socks and sandals. I don't know where this came from. I think it's just the vibe he gives off. And I'm not mad about it. I rock socks and sandals on the regs. My personal favourite look is wearing my Shrek socks with sandals, which I call Shrocks and Shrandles. But I just don't think it makes sense for him. It's not particularly secure on your feet. There are also so many interpretations of Shane wearing Crocs, and to be honest, I'm kind of obsessed with that. Green Crocs, pink socks. Those are some choices, and I am into them. But my pedanticness knows no end. So in terms of what I think is canon, I think he's probably just wearing trainers, or, sneakers. I think that makes more sense seeing as we have a grid ball shirt, a hoodie, basic man things. He's not breaking any molds here. He's not particularly out there, except the pink socks, and I know many a man who expresses his personality through his socks, like Greg Davies on Taskmaster. So again, personally, for me, green trainers, pink socks, blue flower, red thorns. But I'm not mad at the Crocs, I welcome the Crocs. They can stay. Now we get to the hoodie. I am going through each item of his clothing one by one. Next, we're going to talk about his pants. I'm just kidding, I wish. I think boxer briefs. What do you guys think? So in my Sam video, I stated unequivocally that Sam and Shane are both wearing their work jackets. And to be fair, in that footage, they do look like they're the same colour, but let's get technical. I compared 2 screen recordings that I took on the same monitor to see if these jackets are the same colour. And I used the main colour, the one that I don't think is meant to be like shading. And no, they are not the same colour. And this doesn't mean that they're not the same colour originally. Like, Jodie probably does Sam's laundry and she's better at it than Shane would be, so it's like brighter, And look, they both have like little holes in them, these little loose threads, but Sam's doesn't have a hood. If we compare both of their sprites from behind, Shane's is clearly meant to show a hood and Sam's isn't. Plus we have this infamous picture and we can see the hood. So they're different jackets. Plus they both now have work portraits, which show something entirely different. Sam got done so dirty with his work portrait. I know they're supposed to be headphones, but it looks like he's wearing a travel pillow. So the question now becomes, why is Shane wearing a hoodie with a J on it? Because I no longer think that this is his work hoodie. If we look at Pam's beach portrait, she's wearing a hat that says Joja. So I guess they just make clothes. I mean, it's kind of an ugly hat. Like, you don't buy a hat from Asda and it just says Asda. But we can suspend our disbelief a little bit. I think maybe Shane got this hoodie for free. Maybe he got a discount. I did get a cute hoodie from Game when I used to work there back in the day, but I had to give it back. So if we look at Shane's winter outfit again, this also has a J on it. So yeah, I figured that this is a guy who just doesn't give a shit about his clothes. He got his winter jacket from Joja. He probably got that little hat there too. The hoodie he wears every day is from Joja. Grid ball jersey, shorts, pink socks, trainers, right? The personal style it's giving is just like, man. Like with Sam's outfit. What can this tell us about him? He's put on a jacket. He's put on a t-shirt. Not to be gender essentialist, I know that there are exceptions to this. There are fabulously dressed men out there, and they can really pull it out of the bag if they want to. But like colloquially, most of the men I know in my life are like this. I'm kind of like this. Trousers or shorts if it's hot, t-shirt, hoodie if it's cold, trainers. Bosh. No coordination, just pulling things out of drawers. Except for the Tunneler's jersey, it has no personality to it. And that's part of his personality. If we continue to microanalyze his appearance, which we will, you can't stop me. I mean, you can skip sections, but you can't stop me. Going with this theme is how his hoodie has holes. If you wear something every single day and it gets a hole, you would think you would care if this is his favorite hoodie, if this is his only hoodie. But nah, this isn't a loved item of clothing. It has no personal significance. He's just going to use it until it falls apart, you know? So now we get to a very important part of Shane's character. And I wrote, even as I'm typing this, I'm cringing at myself. And even as I'm recording this, I'm cringing at myself. Okay. It's huge. Are you ready? Okay. The stubble. All of the men in this game are fresh fucking shaven, except Harvey with his mustache, but like everything around that. Who has the time to do that every day? I'm not saying that people don't, obviously people do, but that's nuts to me. Every day? When it looks so much better when you have stubble? Anyway, I will tell you who also could not be bothered. Our man Shane. It represents this lack of care, right? When you compare it to all the other bachelors, all the other characters, he's the only one like this, with like stubble. So yeah, the holes in the hoodie, this obsession with microwaved and frozen food. This is a guy who is about convenience. If we put this together with what we said about him walking around barely using any energy, barely paying attention to anything, I think it makes sense. Do you get the vibe here? Are you picking up on the energy yet? Like, however long into this video we are, I'm starting to get it. Do you see what I see? Do you feel his presence? Because, like, it's hot. Right? You see it. You must see it. Don't lie. I'm not crazy. And I'm not the only one, okay? Every fanfiction is like, his stubbled jaw, you know? It's not just me, okay guys, it's hot. I'm a big facial hair fan though. In the Harvey video, I said that every man should have a mustache. And I honestly think every person should grow a mustache. I would if I could, okay? In my ideal world, we can all grow facial hair. It's not fair, truly. We should all have the option. But some stubble, just a little bit, instantly will just take you up a level in my books, okay? You're probably learning too much about me in this video. Look, going with that theme of oversharing, have I told you about my R&D department? I kind of mentioned it in my recent Q&A video, but I will explain it to you here. Let me throw some men at you. I wish. No, but really. So we've got Shane. We've got Robert from Dream Daddy, Nick from New Girl, Charlie from It's Always Sunny, Jace from Arcane, but only Series 2 Jace, after he came out of the ravine. The Winter Soldier, but I'm thinking specifically Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Not any of that recent stuff. They got a haircut. Joel from The Last of Us. And I mean the game and the TV show, because let's be honest, Pedro Pascal can get it. Pedro Pascal walks into the room, I leave my husband, you know. What do these men have in common? Apart from that, I want them. Well, according to my friend, who I will refer to as Poggy, these men are all rabid and a little dirty. Hence the coining of the term, my R&D department. Rabid and dirty. Mildly problematic. Morally often not great, but like to different degrees. Like you've got Joel, who did some bad stuff, and then you've got Nick from New Girl. Who did Nick from New Girl ever kill? No one. Bad mental health. Issues with drinking. Mean to you. Facial hair. And often dirty. Often not very well put together. Right. Look, I have a type. Okay? This is specifically for fictional men. As I have mentioned, I would not want to get myself involved in real life with someone of this breed. But for blorbos who exist in my mind, this is my shit. This is my brand, you know? I also have an equivalent for women. I'll give you some examples. We got Vi from Arcane, Meg from Hades, big vampire lady. Do I need to say more? Probably not. But like, why? You know, that's what we're trying to answer fundamentally, is why? Why am I into this? What are the psychological reasons? What's my damage? Okay? Theory number 4. I've got issues. I've got issues. What are they? Let's not unpack that in a YouTube video. Okay, that's for a therapist. That's above my pay grade. That's above your pay grade. Try as I might, I can't heal myself through oversharing, okay? We're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it there for that. All right. I want to get a cup of tea and put my dinner in. And you know what my dinner is? Frozen pizza. Because of Shane. Not because of Shane. I'm just like also lazy. Okay, look. Let's talk about his haircut. So he's got this deep side part going. You can see a little bit of hair on the left side of his head. It's the same color as the rest of his hair, right? You see that little bit there. Don't tell me you don't. So to me, it's just man hair. I didn't know the term for it. Man hair. So I looked it up. Do you want to know what the term is for this type of haircut? Regular haircut. I'm not even joking, that's genuinely what it's called. That's not that much better of a term than man hair. So I was just walking around living my life thinking that this dude just had normal ass man hair. Kind of long on the top. You know, you can see it sweeps all the way over. He's got some overhang. Kind of like this, but not so long. And then I get a comment that psychically damages me, referring to him as having Peaky Blinders hair. Once again, I have psychic damage. Like, I'm too invested. I'm too close to this situation. I'm too deep undercover. You know, I've got a second family. I'm in desperate need of grass to touch. So Peaky Blinders hair refers to the TV show Peaky Blinders. Probably most of you are picturing it right now. But if you don't know what it looks like, I will show you. By the way, no hate if you have this hair. Truly no hate to you. We all have our tastes. Some people can pull it off. Arguably, you know. But yeah, this is what it looks like. And look, I can see it. He's got the side sweep, right? And if we look at Shane fallen down, you can see on the back of his head there's this little grey area that basically matches the shade of his stubble, suggesting a close crop. You know, some kind of fade or like buzz. I don't know. But I don't think it would be as egregious as Cillian Murphy. I don't watch Peaky Blinders. I don't know what his character's called. Because, as we said earlier, we have a little bit of hair to the left, I think at most he would be like this guy, who is also from Peaky Blinders, and I also don't know his name, right? A little bit more fading. I learned so much about men's hair for this bit, but I could not for the life of me tell you the difference between a crew cut and a high and tight and an undercut. I'm being dramatic. I mean, like, I could tell you the difference for the life of me if you put a gun to my head, but I don't want to. It's boring. So, like, you've been watching this video. You know what I'm like. We literally just went into such intense detail about why his shirt is a jersey and not a polo, using the canon evidence. We analysed the shit out of that boy. But with this, it's less like that I think I'm right, and it's more that I don't want that. I don't want it. I don't want him to have a Peaky Blinders haircut. I just don't like it. Personally, in my opinion, I don't like it. I'm gonna argue with you a little bit. I'm gonna present some evidence. I'm gonna make a case, obviously. Ow. Oh, I spilled some tea. But fundamentally, I just don't want it. I'm very biased. I think it's kind of ugly. So let's get to work. Here is Shane's regular degular sprite. If you look carefully, you can see these dark purple pixels at the edge of his jaw. If you put this into a colour picker, you can see that this dark purple colour is the same colour as the darkest parts of his hair. Okay, cool. So it's just shading, right? Well, in his beach portrait, we get this. It's still there. So I thought that this was hair, right? I was pretty confident. I've been looking at this a bunch over the years, and I was pretty confident that this was hair. But I asked Sam about it, and he said that it's still shading. Because when you look at that dark purple line, it continues all the way down his jaw on the left side, but not on the right, which it doesn't do in his original portrait. Sam made me this little image to show where the light is supposed to be coming from. We can see evidence of this with the neck shading and with the sunglasses. And it's the same case in his normal portrait, but I guess there's more contrast in the shading in the beach portrait because it's the beach, so the light would be stronger, you know, the contrast would be harsher on the other side. Side note, me and my husband just hyper-analysing Shane's appearance over Facebook Messenger is one of the best things that ever happened to me. Just pure joy for me. I have to get my frozen pizza. It's the last step of my Shane cosplay. All right, I just destroyed a frozen pizza. I think I got a stain on my shirt. It's very Shane-coded of me. I'm feeling so Shane-coded, you guys. But what confuses me about this is the winter portrait. That shading that we were talking about is now gone. Both sides of his jaw look the exact same, despite the fact that the light source is ostensibly the same, because we can clearly see it in the beanie and the jacket. So what can we conclude from this? I think overall, it's not meant to be hair. I think it's just shading that's like a little awkward. I don't think Eric expected anyone to zoom so closely in on his jaw like this. I don't think he thought anyone would care this much. Fool! So it's kind of a moot point. This doesn't really help my case. It's just something I looked into, and I thought you'd want to know. But you know, we enjoy the process. It's the climb. So let's look at our next pieces of evidence. So outside of the game itself, there are several pieces of media that are in the Stardew Valley cinematic universe. And I own all of them, hang on. You got the guidebook, the graphic novel, and the cookbook. If there's anything else, let me know and I will buy it. In my Shane survey, I asked the question, do you consider these things canon? To be honest, I probably should have done it separately, like asked, do you think the cookbook's canon? Do you think the graphic novel's canon? But like, I didn't expect 2,000 people would answer the survey. I thought I'd get like 50. And making a survey is surprisingly hard. So there are inconsistencies between these pieces of media and the game itself, which we will cover when we get to his backstory. But look, 90.8% of people thought this stuff was either canon or, you know, it depends. So if I show you stuff from the guidebook and use it as evidence, you have to accept that. The guidebook doesn't have that many inconsistencies. I read that shit from cover to cover, okay? It's canon in my mind, except for Shane's shirt, which we have covered. But as I told you, this is mostly just vibes. Look at these pictures from the guidebook. Bro has a full head of hair, regular haircut. I'm sorry to those 2 people who made the guidebook and I got mad and I said you're not his number 1 and number 2 fans, okay? You can be his number 3 and number 4 fans. Look how much hair he has. It's glorious. I'm so happy. So, in my mind, Shane just has a regular, boring man hair. None of that Peaky Blinders shit. You think this guy is going to the barber once every 2 weeks to keep that shit maintained? No. He's going to Marnie every 2 months to get her to give him a trim. The fallen down portrait kind of contradicts this, as I said, because it looks like he has it cropped really tight on the back of his head. But like, all I care about here, right? All I care about here is just that he doesn't look like Elon Musk. Okay? I can't have that in my mind. Just let me have this, okay? Please. Please. Okay, now we're going to talk about what colour his hair is. You thought I was done talking about his hair? No, bitch. We're just getting started. So this is something else that I asked in the survey. I wrote, what colour is his hair? Bear in mind that it is purple in the sprite. That is objectively the colour purple. I mean, like, if you met him in real life. Because it's true. That is the colour purple. If you look at his portrait and his sprite, that is the colour purple. I'm not going to gaslight you, okay? Look, I used the colour picker again. It's purple. I can't change that. I can't. It's something I live with every day. It's purple. Now let's look at our results. First of all, shout out to this person who just wrote in, I'm colourblind. It was an optional question, bestie, but you got a good laugh out of me, so thank you. So the overwhelming result here is that his hair is black. And this is so surprising to me. It's almost half. That's 1,000 people. So I asked in Shane Central, my Discord channel, and I got the answer that, like in art, you can't just make someone's hair black or different shades of black because then that's just grey. To prove this point, they desaturated his hair and we get black-haired Shane. And I'm sorry, Your Honour. I love him. Look at him. Can we act it out? I am emotionally attached to that idea of this man having grey hair. We went through this already. But to be fair, if you desaturated anyone's hair, it would just be different shades of grey. Right? That's how desaturation works. I'm pretty sure. But notice that they said that the same principle doesn't apply with brown hair. So if we look at Harvey and Alex, the 2 brown-haired guys, that's just brown. No need to add blue or purple or anything. The highlights are just kind of like a warm orangey brown, and it looks fine. So I guess the conclusion for a lot of people who chose black was like, if his hair was brown, it would just be brown. So if it's not purple, it must be black. And yeah, like that makes sense. I don't hate black-haired Shane. I mean, look at him. Don't hate him. In fact, I may be in love with him. Personally, in my head, it's always been brown, dark brown. David Tennant brown is how I will put it. With the little grey hairs, of course. And all of the art from the guidebook and the cookbook backs this up. If we go back to these pictures I've already shown you, that's brown. That's a dark brown. The cookbook one has a little bit of a purpley tinge to it, but it's brown. But, you know, it's up to you whether that stuff is canon for you. For me it is, because number one, it proves he doesn't have Peaky Blinders hair, and number two, it's brown. But you know, like, I argued so hard to disprove the shirt, and that was from the guidebook. None of this shit is real. Believe what you want to, you know? I don't think there is one definitive answer for any of this. In terms of it being purple, 17.5% of people said it's purple naturally. And this isn't out of the question. Caroline has green hair. Jazz's hair also looks purple, even though she's a child, so presumably she hasn't dyed it. Although this also could just mean that she has black hair. Leah has purple eyes, you know? Like, these characters don't need to be bound by our rules and laws. They can have different hair colours naturally. And that's fine. I'm fine with that interpretation too. Again, the stakes are very low here. We can't really be definitive. Lots of people draw him with purple hair, and like, go for it. Personally, I like a brown or black haired Shane. I don't vibe with the purple as much. I enjoy purple hair. I tried so hard to get it to go purple for the video. It didn't work. But I have an appointment next week to go to a hairdresser to get purple hair, right? It'll be purple when I edit this video. I'll put a picture on the screen. So it's not that I'm against the purple hair. I just prefer a brown haired Shane. David Tennant Brown. So 5.6% of people said that he dyes it purple. Honestly, I thought this would be a more popular opinion. I wrote this whole section like arguing against it, but it's the least popular option. And that makes sense to me because, as we've established, he doesn't really care about his appearance. He lets his clothes have holes and stains. He can't be bothered to shave. His personality is based around convenience and laziness, you know, with the microwaved and frozen food. I strongly, highly, very much doubt that he could be bothered to dye his hair. I honestly don't know how much he even brushes it. A few people commented on that survey question to say they think his hair would be dirty, you know? And I don't disagree with you. So there is the argument to be made that it's part of his like low-key punk aesthetic, because if we talk about the clothing therapy for a moment. So for Emily's 8 Heart scene, she does this thing that she calls clothing therapy. And this is how she describes it. Behind this curtain, you'll find racks and racks of clothes. There's endless options to choose from. Your job is simple. Find the outfit that truly speaks to you and put it on. Feel confident in yourself and your choice. You all have a unique style to share with the world. She invites Abigail, Maya Lewis, Robin, Clint, and Shane. And she makes Shane go first. And this is what he comes out with. And bitches love this, okay? I have seen so much fan art of Shane, you know, in this outfit. Is this like punk or like goth aesthetic? Sorry, I don't know the difference between punk and goth and emo. I got a lot of comments about that on my Sebastian video, and like, you are correct. I don't know. This is not my wheelhouse. But you can see what I mean. I'll put it on the screen. You decide for yourselves. So a headcanon that I've seen a lot. Oh, I don't know if this counts. This isn't my headcanon. Going off the screen, but oh well. You don't see the pom-pom. So a headcanon that I've seen a lot is that back in the day when he like cared about life or whatever, this was more his aesthetic. When he could be bothered to like put an outfit together or do his hair, he was out there like moshing and shit. Oh, off it goes. Because my hair is so shiny, it just can't stay. So maybe the one thing he still has from this phase of his life is dyeing his hair. Like, it's not the most effort. If you put purple over brown or black, it goes a dark purple. It's not like he's going to get bleached or anything. He would just have to use like a purple shampoo or something. And he doesn't have a lot of hair. It would just take him like half an hour every month and then a small amount of maintenance. Again, I personally don't see this. You know, it's not my headcanon. But like, valid. Valid. We've got some backing in the text. Unequivocally, he has some inclination towards being alternative, and we can see that with the clothing therapy. This is an outfit that truly speaks to him, so I'm not gonna yuck your yum. Personal interpretation, David Tennant Brown. I think with the guidebook evidence that that's the most likely, but I'm not gonna explode into a cloud of ash and dust like I was with the polo shirt, okay? Once again, it's up to you. Before we move on to the next section, I just want to acknowledge that there is a world out there in which this guy has badly dyed purple Peaky Blinders hair. He has a lime green polo And he's wearing socks and sandals. And that's not a world I want to live in, okay? That's not my world. That's not my Shane. Ugh. Now, let's talk about his eyes. Green. Right? Green. It seems pretty cut and dry. But if we zoom in on his sprite, we can see that the eye colour is the same purple used for the shading in his hair. So if we take this with everything we said earlier about his hair, it might mean that he has brown eyes. Honestly, there are so many inconsistencies with eyes in this game. You guys were right in the comments of the Sam video, in that sometimes he does have blue eyes, and sometimes he has grey eyes. And I think at some point he has green eyes. In Sebastian's sprite, he has green eyes, but in his portrait they're like this purpley colour. So inconsistent. And I think this is another instance of stuff being left over from previous versions. You know, like how we said that Abigail's sprite has a bow, but her portrait doesn't have a bow? That's because of her version history. Her sprite wasn't changed, but her portrait was. So now they're inconsistent. If we look at original Shane, man's got brown eyes. And we already said that a lot of Shane's sprite is left over from his original Shane phase. So I think the sprite is either meant to show that he has brown eyes, or it's just shading. But I think the eye colour of his portrait is the eye colour that we would consider like canon, right? That's the thing you're going to be looking at. And they're unequivocally green. I wish fewer people in this game had green eyes. How often do you meet someone with just like green eyes? I only know one person, and no, it's not Shane. So I guess I know two people. Right, so green. Not much to talk about there. My green-eyed boy. Okay, we've got one more piece of info dumping to go over before we reach our end. Are you having fun? Are you also thinking too deeply about pixels? Good. The Shane rot spreads. I got tired last night, so this is the next day. So our final part of micro-analysing him is the height, okay? We're going to get into the body conversation too. Oh yes, we will. But we'll do that later. We'll do that in a different video. Right now, I'm just concerned with physically fighting the Stardew Valley Wiki. I love you, Stardew Valley Wiki. I do. I wouldn't be where I am without you. It would be a very hard fight for me. I wouldn't want to physically overpower you and watch the life drain from your eyes, but I would have to because you've got false information on Shane's wiki page. And it's giving him a bad reputation. Okay? So, the wiki states, when married, he'll admit to wishing that he was 6 inches taller. When comparing the male sprites to each other during the flower dance cutscene, Shane is relatively shorter. This is a very popular opinion about Shane, that he's short. If we take a look at my survey, I asked, based on vibes, like don't go and check, do you think that he's the shortest? 28.5% of people said he's the shortest. 25.5% of people said he's one of the shortest. 22.8% of people said they didn't know, but he gives short energy. 19.2% of people said he's average height. And the amount of people who said they think that he's tall is 3.8%. You see those two tiny slivers? That figure is them added together. So 96.2% of people agree that he's not tall. And I think that's so funny. So why is this? Why does he have this reputation? If we return to what the wiki says, the first part of this is true. He does have a married line saying he wishes he was 6 inches taller. 6 inches is a lot of height to wish that you were taller. Like, I don't think 6 foot people are out here wishing they were 6'6". I'm 5'10". If I was 6 inches taller, I'd be 6'4". You know, that's like a big difference. I asked my 6'3" husband if he ever wishes he were taller, and he said, literally never. He said sometimes he even wishes that he was shorter so that he can fit on planes. So what I'm saying is, you hear a guy say he wishes he was 6 inches taller. Your response is probably going to be, oh, he's short. He wishes he was tall, you know? You're not going to assume he's tall based on that information. But the second part of what it says on the wiki, that Shane is relatively shorter during the flower dance. This is probably the other part of why people think that he's so short. Let me pull out my graph. We went over this in the Sam video, but we're going over it again, okay? Take a look at this picture. Give me a quick vibe check. Who's the shortest? Shane, right? It's okay. I'm not mad at you. It's understandable. It's an optical illusion of sorts. Because if we draw a line through that little brown bit that's supposed to be like the belt, you can see that the line matches up for Elliot, Sebastian, and Shane. It also matches for Harvey, Sam, and Alex. But that's just the waistband, right? What does the waistband mean? So they all have the same leg length. So what? It doesn't mean they're the same height. Well, it's about the hair. If we get violent about this, if we chop their heads off, look, let's be real, it was always going to end this way. Look at this picture. Tell me who's who. Go on. Do it. Tell me who's who. Sure, you might be able to guess Elliot, because I had to cut out his hair. But look at Sebastian and Shane and tell me who's who. Would you bet your life on it? No, you shouldn't, because it's the same picture. The hair is an optical illusion. It makes Shane look shorter, but that's only because he's not like fluffing up his hair to make himself look taller, like Elliot and Sebastian. Case closed. Myth busted. Just to emphasize, I'm fine with him being short. The fact is that half of them are taller, half of them are shorter, and Shane is one of the shortest. And that's fine. I'm not trying to argue that he's tall. I'm not trying to argue out of him being short. I just want to get the facts straight. Stardew Valley Wiki, he is not relatively shorter, according to the flower dance. I need justice for my short king, that's all I want. I was curious though, whether the flower dance heights are different from their usual heights. Like maybe Eric got sloppy and he just used the two different like flower dance sprites for all of the men, even though they have different heights usually. And this is kind of true. If we look at this Reddit post where someone lined up all the villagers and compared them by height, according to this person, Shane and Sebastian are not only the same height, but Shane might be taller. They wrote, "It can be argued that he is taller than Sebastian because of his sprite and nose location, but he might also just be squinting. I don't know." So if we look at this incredibly scientific image, which definitely wasn't just me getting fed up with GIMP and printing it out and drawing a line, we can see where they're coming from with this. Their chins seem to line up, but the bottom of Sebastian's eye is where Shane's nose is, so that hints that Shane's taller. But if we take different eye shapes into account, if we look at their sprites, we can see that Sebastian does have a little hint of an eyebrow underneath his, goth fringe. The whites of his eyes are 2 pixels high, where Shane's are just 1. So because their eyebrows line up, I think that they are the same height. If we look at that picture again of everyone all lined up, then we can see that most villagers do have these 2 pixel high eyes. So the fact that Shane's are just 1 pixel could be a reflection of what we said earlier about how he's just like walking around with his eyes down, barely paying attention to anything. They're like not open very far, I don't know, maybe I'm just reading into it too much. I don't know, maybe. Maybe. So I don't think Shane's taller. I think they're the same height. So the flower dance heights are correct, except for Elliot. In the flower dance, he's the same height as Shane and Sebastian, but in his regular sprite, he's taller than Alex and Sam. I don't get it. But I don't really care about that. I just care about justice for Shane. Goddamn fanfiction loves writing Sebastian as this big, tall, broad-shouldered guy. But if Shane is 5'6", then Sebastian is 5'6", okay? If Sebastian is 6'2", then Shane is 6'2". You can't just say that one guy is tall and one guy is short when it defies the empirical evidence, okay? Where did this come from? Probably the goddamn flower dance and the goddamn wiki spreading misinformation. Justice for Shane. Okay, so Shane is the same height as Sebastian. We've covered this, but I'm not saying that he's tall. If you line up all the bachelors, they're still the 2 shortest ones, so he's short-ish. He's shorter. So the average height for a man is 5'10". Shane and Sebastian are the 3rd shortest out of all of the men. Only Lewis and Gus are shorter. So they're below average, they're below the median. Taking this with his line about wanting to be 6 inches taller, personally, my best guess is like 5'8", 5'9". Because they're still taller than any of the women in the game. If he wants to be 6 inches taller, that would put him at like 6'2", 6'3", which is a height I feel like makes sense to strive for, to like idealize. I mean, none of this is scientific. Again, this is just vibes. It could be that Shane is 6'4" and he wishes he was 6'10". It could be that he's 4'10", wishing he was 5'4". We'll never know. We will never know. So based on vibes, purely vibes, in my head, 5'8" or 9. And that applies to Sebastian too. If you take one thing away from this video, if one thing sticks with you, it is that Shane and Sebastian are the same height. I'm a short Sebastian truther, okay? Stop hyping him up. So I love my short king. I love all my short kings equally. I don't care for Sebastian. Okay, I'm just gonna level with you. I can't think of a good way to end the video. I'm moving. I'm in the middle of moving. So what I'm going to do while I let the Patreon credits scroll is I'm going to do the cup song to Shane's theme. And that's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I haven't practiced this. Roll up my sleeves. I haven't practiced this. But Let's try it. Let's try it. Okay. So I'll get set up on my phone. Right. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you for subscribing. If you have, no pressure. Leave me a comment. Join my Patreon. Or don't. But please do. Oh. This goes so well. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you and good night. Thank you and good night. I will see you in the next one.